Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Sask Lotteries, bringing communities together. Sask Lottery products fund over 12,000 sports, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Well, good afternoon, Saskatchewan, and welcome to the Sports Cage. Dave Thomas filling in for Barney Shankaruk this afternoon, and what a day we have for you, Saskatchewan. Sit back, relax, and well, get ready to join the conversation. Of course, the text line is always open. Our video stream on YouTube, where we encourage you to like and subscribe, is ready to go at sportscage.com. But you know, the longest countdown to kickoff in Saskatchewan Roughriders history seemingly is continuing. But we are getting closer to game day, and we will get closer and through it together. As coming up today, we are going to go ahead and talk all things Saskatchewan Roughriders, including how a nitty-gritty dirt band classic may have inspired this team last week. We'll tell you about that coming up a little bit. Plus, on the way, before we get to the top of the hour, we are going to head inside the SJHL draft room. The SJHL draft is currently on, and we will take you there and even talk a little World Cup soccer with Jamie Neugebauer from the SJHL. Also, we'll go coast to coast with Arash Madani, look at week one in the CFL, some standouts and some fallbacks, if you will. We'll get to Arash with that. And then Glen Suitor, I'll warn you right now, Calgary Stampeder fans may not want to hear what he has to say. TSN's Glen Suitor will have press coverage coming up after 5. Plus, the big news in Edmonton right now is Mike Babcock may become the team's new head coach. Guess what? We've got one of his former assistant coaches coming on to weigh in on whether that's a good fit for Babs or not. He will join us before we get to 6 o'clock. Plus, lots of chances to win. SaskTel Pick the Score, details on how you can win your way to Banff, and we are going to talk about 97% of North Americans are ambidextrous when it comes to doing this one task. We'll have more details on that throughout the course of the afternoon. I'm glad that you are along, whether you're listening online or not. But the guy that we have online, and I don't want to wait any longer, one of the greats with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, fourth-year receiver, joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Of course, the pizza known worldwide for a reason. Loaded with toppings of Western Canadian ingredients and always cooked to perfection. He was the most outstanding Canadian in the 2025 Grey Cup for your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Number 19, Samuel Emilus, is joining us this afternoon. Sam, thanks so much for taking some time and doing us on a very busy work week, I would assume.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Dave.
So, Sam, can you tell me what this countdown to kickoff has been like? Is it like Christmas, like you're counting down the days till you can finally unwrap your present?
I mean, most definitely, not playing week one kind of sucks, but we had to wait one more week. But obviously, it's like you said, it's really a countdown. We got 5 more days now, 6 more days, whatever the case is. And we can't wait to finally play in front of our fans and reveal that banner.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you've gone into this week? Obviously, you look for every advantage that you can. So you get a bye week in week one. Nothing you can do about it. But how have you used it to your advantage?
Yeah, I mean, Coach came in the meeting yesterday and showed us a few clips from CFL week one. From the new rules, obviously there's no more rules, so obviously there's strategy that you got to use in order for that, and just common mistakes that same do week one that we can't afford to do in our first game. So obviously used it this week to make sure that everything's going to be sound for our first game.
Well, before we look at the first game, and I know you're probably going to come through the screen right at me and say, hey, Coach has already said this a number of times that we're not even looking back at 2025 anymore. But you mentioned the banner raising, so I'm taking advantage of that, Sam. When you had the cup, you took it to your hometown of Montreal. You shared it with people, whether it's young or old, across the province. You look back at that. How easy is it to move on beyond that? And is that a motivator further for this year?
Yes. I mean, I of course, when you win a Grey Cup, you got to enjoy the the fact that you won one. It's not as easy as people think. Some people in the league might never win one, So bringing it back to my people and let them see it was something special. But also, like you said, it's something also that you got to leave in the past when you attack a new season, because 2026, the 8 other teams, CFL teams, going to want to play their best against us to prove that to beat us, because we the reigning champion. So obviously it's gonna be a fun season, knowing that we have a target on our back. But I think the team is built in order to do well this season, and obviously having a chance to repeat.
Saskatchewan Roughrider receiver Sam Emilus kind enough to join us here on Rider Game Week. They open up the regular season Saturday night against the BC Lions. One last question about last year. The banner, it goes up. How special will that be with the fans in the stands at Mosaic Stadium?
It's gonna be special. It's gonna be something that we will remember forever. Not only myself, but also the people from Saskatchewan, and I can't wait to see the banner. It's something that's gonna be engraved forever, and I'm so glad to have been a part of that 2025 edition.
Sam, you mentioned the word attack. And when I talk with your teammates, whether it's a conversation with Kian Schaefer-Baker or Trevor Harris or Mark Mueller, they talk about the fact that you attack the offseason, whether that's in the playbook, whether that's in the gym. How do you attack an offseason? And as mentioned, this is your 4th year in the league. Do you change that attacking approach and mentality in the offseason at all?
Not at all. I feel like the off season is really the hardest part for me of my training, of, I would say, career, because I'm really working out in a way where I'm ready for the season. Where when it comes to season and I just play against other teams, it just come natural. It's something that when you play against, it's really all about preparation. So I prepare in a way where when I play against other team or I get ready for other teams, I just know my assignment and everything, and it just became second nature. And not to say it's easy, but it's just, I just know what I got to do, and I come from the off-season work that I put in.
Sam Emilus is joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline here on this Tuesday afternoon on the Sports Cage. And Sam, want to get your opinion on how much of a benefit it is being in a Mark Mueller offense for the 3rd year in a row, playing with Trevor Harris yet again. How does that continuity help you?
It definitely helped. I think our chemistry is something that we use to our advantage. Being 3 year in a same system, building a relationship and building trust with your quarterbacks and other receivers also definitely show on film throughout the years, and it's only gonna get better. Everything get better with years, and I think we got a great chance of showing this again this year, exactly what we did last year, but even better this year. So I'm excited for the opportunity of 2026. I'm excited for Trevor, and especially Mueller. Coach Mueller always put us in position to make plays, and I'm excited.
How special is the chemistry that you have, Sam, with Trevor Harris, in the fact that clearly the two of you spend a lot of time talking strategy and how you're going to execute together? How special is that? Because you look at your college career, even obviously you must have had a great chemistry with quarterback there for the numbers that you put up and the success that you had.
Yeah, I would say the thing with me and Trevor is every day we talk about something like that could be like it's a tiny detail that might really like be important to like other people or other players, but we just talk about it just to make sure we're on the same page. So when that little detail come about, like in the play or whatever, you can see it come to fruition, and that's exactly what me and Trevor does every time. Like every time I got a question, it might sound silly, but it's really, to him it's serious. And whenever he asks me a question, to me it's serious also, because every time we're on the same page, something good happen. It could be a touchdown, it could be a big play. So for me, whenever we talk, it's important to be on the same page. And we've been doing this for 3 years now, and our relationship and communication just keep on growing.
How much does competition fuel your relationship? Is, again, even watching today, right? The number of reps, you could see were frustrated when a play didn't come to fruition. You could see that your teammates were pretty excited that they were able to stop you. But how competitive are you even in practice reps?
See, that go back to what I was saying. You know, the DBs made some play on me today, and I was sick to my stomach. You know, but I just know that it makes them better going against me, and they make me better also. So come game time, it's gonna be, not to say easy, but I'm gonna be prepared and ready to go, and that's definitely gonna fuel me. You know, them making a play on me in practice definitely gonna fuel me for the game. And I'm just excited for the opportunity. Like I said, they make me better and I make them better. So it's just good competition, and with good competition, that's how you win games.
Sam Emilus is joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Again, countdown to kickoff is on this year. It's going to be a whole new experience when it comes to game day at Mosaic Stadium. The Coors Light tailgate party will open 5 hours beforehand. I'm pretty sure I know how much you take care of your body that you're not going to stop by. But if you did have a menu item, something you want to see them barbecuing and grilling up?
I would say hamburgers. You know, hamburgers is my favorite go-to barbecue meal. Put some cheese on there, some onions, tomatoes, lettuce, and you got to go with ketchup and mustard, and you're ready to go.
Oh, you had me up until tomatoes, but we'll talk about that another day. Sam, you've been kind enough to have this discussion with me before, and I want to talk to you about a conversation that I had with one of my colleagues and one of my broadcasters, and we were talking about you and your play, and you know, the one thing that he said that stood out to him wasn't the 10 catches, the 100 yards in the Grey Cup. He said the one thing that you need to do when it comes to Sam Emilus is watch him when the ball isn't coming his way, whether that's the run or passing game. Is that the ultimate compliment?
For sure, for sure. You know, I'm obviously my title is still wide receiver, so I got to catch balls. You know, but I also feel some type of duty to block whenever it's required, because the O-line block for me when it's a passing play, you know, and I wouldn't be able to make those plays if the O-line don't block for me. So whenever it's a running play and the play require me to block and help the O-line, I don't really second guess it. I just do it, and obviously I take pride in it, and they see that also. So as long as they see the work that I put in, it's all good with me. Like I don't really think too much about anything else but helping my teammates, and this what I'm doing.
The work doesn't go unnoticed for sure. So when did that work start? Were you doing that in college? Were you doing that in high school?
I would say I've been doing this since high school. And then in college, I kind of took it up a notch. Part of it is because I was not really getting the ball, and I was getting frustrated. So I was like, I'm gonna put my frustration on the DBs. So that's really how it really came about. And but then at the end of the day, you still got to block, especially in our offense, in our team. You got to be able to block if you want to be part of this offense. So it was just, I guess, a perfect match for the team and me, knowing that I love to block and they need me to block. So it wasn't something really crazy that happened. It's just a perfect match, I would say.
One of the hardest hits, if you're watching on the stream at sportscage.com, that I've ever seen laid in person ever, anywhere, anytime, was against Calgary when Keyshawn Johnson had the ball. Have you watched that one in film a few times?
For sure. You know, I'm still mad that he threw a flag. I still didn't think to this day it was a blindside, but I guess they got a, you know, player safety is something that's important for the league. So I get it, but I still feel that was a great block. It was no ill intent to injure the player, of course. But yeah, it was a good hit. Maybe if you're being technical, I would probably hit him less hard. But yeah, it was a great block, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. I don't want to get too much in trouble with talking about the league and stuff. But yeah.
Okay, so if I took a vote of your fellow receivers in that receiver room, which we are going to get to in just a moment, but if I took a vote with your fellow receivers, which play would they want to see from Sam Emilus last year? That one, or the one where you made that crazy catch against Toronto that I still don't know how you caught it?
Yeah, I would say the catch for sure. I would say the catch for sure, just because, you know, this catch it's probably gonna be shown for years now. The block is really people that follow, like the Roughriders, that's gonna know about the block. But that catch for sure was something special, and I'm not still in awe, but I was in awe for a minute when it happened. And my teammates still talk about it sometimes, some days. So obviously, I'm gonna go with the catch.
I was a little worried that you were going to come up and punt the ball because you like doing that when you get excited.
Yeah, you know what? That's my celebration. When I be going to games with no celebration, the first thing I'm thinking is just punt the ball. But can't do it this year because you lose some money when you do that. But it just show my excitement and how happy I am when I kick the ball, and bonus also fan gets a ball also. So it's a good celebration, but I like to keep my money in my pocket.
I don't mind that answer at all. When you look at your receiver room, what do you see this year?
I see lots of people that like to play football. A lot of people that want to prove themselves again, just like last year. Just Kean Baker, he missed majority of the season last year with a foot injury. Now he able to finally healthy and being able to showcase what his talents. You got Keyshawn Johnson going into his third year. Last year was really his breakout year, so obviously he gonna still keep on building up on this. Then you got Dale finally getting a chance also to showcase what he do as a full-time starter. And obviously we also got Jalen Johnson, coming. He spent a few times in the NFL now with us. So obviously he's going to be able to showcase his talent, show his speed. And we're just going to keep on building on this. And I'm excited for the opportunity to finally get back on the field and having the other players also showcasing their talent.
Sam Emilus, you did mention the rule changes this year, and again, I don't want to comment whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, but the 35-second clock is in something that you've been practicing with throughout training camp and have had 2 preseason games to analyze, and even, I guess, if you look at last week, that 35-second clock, there was some concern at one point, the receivers are going to get so tired, but I look at your fitness level, I'm not really concerned about that, but do you see any significant changes coming?
Yeah, but like you said, I was concerned also about the 35-second, about the conditioning and stuff during the game and such. But like everything in life, you get accustomed to it, you get used to it, and I think the 35-second, it's something that's going to be good for the league because it's going to keep a continuous rhythm to the game. It's not going to be any type of break or natural break or whatever during the game. But I would say we've been talking about it since training camp, and we know that it's something you got to adjust. You got to get adjusted to, and we're gonna be ready, of course. And if it's not only us, but the all other CFL team that has to do it.
Sam Emilus, I know it's busy week, and I appreciate you doing this. As again, the BC Lions are in town on Saturday. A couple of quick questions for you first. What motivates Sam Emilus as far as goals go? I know that team wins is paramount for you, and I don't even think you look at numbers, but what is a motivating factor for Sam Emilus?
I would say going into watching film the next day after the game and knowing that I gave everything I had for my teammates and that they could see it on film also, So, because, they say the eyes in the skies don't lie. And when I'm able to make plays or play at 110% and then my teammates could see it, it's just going to bring him along with me also. So that's really my biggest motivation. Making my teammate proud, and by doing so, I know wins gonna come also. So that would be my biggest motivation.
BC Lions are here on Saturday night. West Division rematch of the final game from last year. Is that even a motivating factor or discussion point within the Roughriders?
Obviously we know that we end their season last year, and they feel that they should have beat us that game. So they definitely gonna come with some type of revenge energy in Mosaic Stadium, especially with the banner reveal. So we're gonna be ready for that for sure. We're gonna have to make sure not only to match their energy, but to have a better energy than them. And we're gonna be ready for sure. I don't think this team like any type of awareness when it comes to this. And we're gonna be ready for sure. I can't wait for Saturday. I think it's gonna be a good night.
The Security Building Supplies Riderland Park will be open. The Grey Cup will be there as, of course, Purelator is bringing it in for the Tackle for Hunger campaign. Bring a non-perishable food item, get a photo with the Grey Cup. So, Sam, if I was to give you a microphone that you could take out to center field during that banner unveil reveal ceremony, what would you say to Rider Nation?
I would say the same thing that I say when we won the Great Cup. I would say, Rider Nation, we did it. That's what I would say.
I was worried about expletives, but we're good. No cussing here. No cussing here.
No.
Last one for you, Sam. Last week, the team went on a team-building fishing trip. Would you have picked Yoshi to have gotten the biggest fish?
That's a good question, Yes and no. Yes, because Yosh is just Yosh, so it makes sense that he got the biggest fish. And no, because I didn't know he knew how to fish or anything of that nature. But, the fishing trip was great. It was my first time fishing. I caught about, 5 fishes? And every time it was like a feeling of like, I can't even explain the feeling of reeling the fish in, but it was something great. And obviously it showed our team camaraderie and obviously it showed also on the field how close we are. So it was a great fishing trip and too many more.
One of your receiver teammates admitted to me that he couldn't touch any of the bait and bait his own hook and or take the fish off the hook. Were you able to do that?
Oh yeah, I was able to do that. It's not that complicated when you pay attention. But he was probably not paying attention, or he was probably too nervous. But do you care of telling me the name?
Yeah, we're going to hear from him later. It's Del Duncan Busby.
I figured it was him too.
I knew you would. Sam, again, congratulations. I know that it's been a while since you've won the Grey Cup, and of course are recognized for the play that you had in that game with the 10 receptions. Again, congratulations on all of that. We really are excited for you here in Rider Nation. Happy that you re-signed that deal in the offseason to come back, and can't wait to see you on Saturday night.
Yeah, appreciate you having me again, Dave. See you soon.
There you go. Sam Emilus joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. The Riders, BC Lions, will have the game for you. Of course, we start with the Croft Electric Nelson Homes countdown to kickoff at 2 o'clock. Then Luke and I will join the pregame festivities from the brand new SportsCage Lounge right on the concourse level at Mosaic Stadium. That will start promptly at 4 o'clock kickoff, and the banner raising go at 5, and then it is the BC Lions and your Saskatchewan Roughriders right across the Rider Broadcast Network. Sam Emilus is going to have a big year. I have a big feeling about that. Coming up, a guy that's going to have a big day today and hoping for a big couple of months for Team Canada, the World Cup. We're going into the SJHL draft lottery room, or sorry, not draft lottery, draft room itself. And that is coming up, plus 97% of Canadians, or North Americans, I guess Canadians are included in that, unless you're talking the free trade agreement. Sorry, no politics here. 97% of North Americans say that they can do this task ambidextrous. If you know about it, let us know. Text line is open. Chat line is open, of course, on our YouTube chat and more. We're going to take a break, though. Come back with Jamie Neugebauer in a moment. This is the Sports Cage, brought to you today by Saskatchewan Lotteries, bringing communities together. Saskatchewan Lottery products fund over 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. The Sports Cage, we're streaming at sportscage.com and, of course, on your radio at 620 CKRM. Welcome back to the Sports Cage. It's time to head out on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, as there is a number of hockey hopefuls in our province that have got their eyes on this guy who's taking a step out of the draft room. That is Jamie Neugebauer, the SJHL co-director of media and communication. Neugsie, thanks for doing this.
It's always a treat to talk to you, Dave. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, the SJHL season, it seems like it just ended yesterday with Flin Flon winning that cup that has been so elusive for them, but it's been a busy process since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 33 years, couldn't be happier for Mike Reagan and the Bombers organization for finally getting over that hump. And then, of course, the Centennial Cup and PEI didn't go exactly as they planned, as much as they gave everything they had to try to pull out a miracle on that last day against Truro, but couldn't find a way. But certainly, guys represented us as a league well. And, as I said, super happy for the Bombers organization and their great fans.
It seems to me like it was just yesterday that the SJHL draft was first happening, because for the longest time there were territorial player rights and recruiting and all kinds of different things. But the SJHL draft has been around for a while now, and fans really seem to be engaging on social media right now.
Yeah, it's great. Again, we have, the work of Benny Walchuk and the Sports Cage to thank, and CTV and all the different networks for tuning into our league and adding to that enthusiasm just generally for our league. We at IKS Media and at the SJHL have really tried to step up our social media presence, our show presence. Dave, you were part of our SaskTel, broadcasts, over the years too. And we're just trying to do things at a very, very high level. And we do believe that has paid off in terms of interest. And certainly, our coverage of the draft, even since, just before COVID, we started covering it. I think it's all kind of paid off. And you know better than me, Dave, the longer you do something, the more momentum you have. Longevity is everything in this business. And we can't wait for everybody to see the next crop of young, great SJHLers.
Well, you've done a terrific job on the website, sjhl.ca. You can follow along, and it's funny, you see a name pop up, and it's like, geez, I know that guy, or that's my neighbor's kid, or wow, I coached him once. Okay, that doesn't happen a lot to me. Let's face it, I am who I am. But saying that, this draft has evolved so much in seemingly a short period of time. How have you seen that evolution?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, it's the investment from the league, from the governors into people like IKS Media who have the resources to make something that's like TSN, Draft Center or like Sportsnet or wherever, to really try to professionalize it. But certainly, you go down the list of names every year, and you know this better than me too, Dave. Every year there's names that kind of stick out that you're like, wow, because obviously the Saskatchewan sports landscape really is so tiny. And so it's always a joy. I'll give you a couple examples, Dave, if you're interested. One that really sticks out to me from this draft is Nixon Jelsing, is a name that baseball fans in Saskatchewan should know, because in 2023 he was part of that Regina Little League team that went and won the Canadian Nationals for Saskatchewan, and then went on to the Little League World Series. And now here he is trying to be drafted as a hockey player in the SJHL. We see that crossover. It's a long history of Saskatchewan kids playing hockey in the winter and baseball in the summer. And, obviously I hope the best for Nixon and all these kids.
So maybe let's talk a little bit about the SJHL draft and how it works, because before anything gets going, because it is very important to keep, as the motto of the SJHL is of course, stay in Saskatchewan, play in Saskatchewan, and keeping kids at home is a huge plus. And you're still able to do that despite having a draft. Can you explain that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a couple of years ago, definitely before COVID, there was a real concern about a lack of Saskatchewan content in our league. It was around 30%, 33% to be more precise, just before COVID. And that was something that, we as a league looked at and said, that's not good enough. We need to be keeping Saskatchewan talent here. Kids are leaving for the BCHL, the USHL at record numbers, and we didn't like that fact. And so certainly putting effort into that through all sorts of initiatives. We have our Stay Here, Play Here campaign, which is very much a social media and a show kind of campaign. But, also different things like different articles that I've been posting, the Stay Here, Play Here pieces, the Success Starts Here pieces that I put on the website profiling Saskatchewan kids, and all sorts of different ways that we use our messaging, from the commissioner down to really make the Saskatchewan kid, feel valued. And the last thing I'll say about it is it just makes perfect sense. If grandma and grandpa can just pop into a car and come watch you play, as opposed to having to fly out to Washington State or Spokane or to the West Coast, whatever it is, it just makes sense. And obviously we provide a great value for that in terms of the quality of our league right now.
Jamie Neugebauer joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. He is the SJHL's co-marketing, co-communications, media guy, knowledgeable with all things. Let's just call it. Can you tell me how the draft has changed, though, perhaps when it comes to players and how they go through the draft, and the fact that, for example, the WHL Bantam draft is a very different animal than what it was even 3 years ago, with the NCAA kind of opening up the floodgates?
Well, first and foremost, in terms of format, I'll talk about format first. After COVID, they decided to change it up. It was the same format essentially as the Western League draft in terms of who is being drafted. And that was 14-year-olds straight out of Bantam, as it used to be called, U15, as it is now. And I mean, we still do that. They still do 2 rounds of bantams or 2011s for this year, if you want to feel old, and then 6 years or 6 rounds, pardon me, of 2010s, which are first year U18 kids. And that's not something they do in the Western League. They just do U14s, or the 14-year-olds. They just do the bantams in that. And what I think that does is that gives us another year of understanding of a player. They do that age group in the east of Canada. They do that in Ontario and in the Maritimes in Quebec, where they draft 15-year-olds. And I like that personally. I think you get a little bit better sense, in bantam or in U15. Obviously, the cream is going to be the cream, no matter where you are. But to see a player, when they're 15, be able to hang with 17-year-olds, generally speaking, I think that's a better way of looking at it. And so, our league has really taken that step to try to lock down as many of those kids as we can. Maybe kids are a little bit late bloomers, as much as you call a 15-year-old a late bloomer. But I think the format is sort of the main way that things have changed. And obviously, it's not the same as the Western League draft, and we're really trying to work with them as opposed to against them, by trying to move our players even from our league to there, if teams take chances on younger players, to play them a little sooner. And that's just the way things go in the hockey landscape in general, Dave.
How important is the SJHL draft in terms of teams roster development, roster construction?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Dave. And every team uses it differently. A lot of that has to do with where that team is geographically located. Obviously, for Flin Flon, for example, they're out in Manitoba, and so they are trying to draft Saskatchewan kids and use that as a tool in their toolkit. You look at the 4th overall pick in 2023, for example, Leo Seitz, he tore up Saskatchewan minor hockey, and then went away to Rankin Academy in Winnipeg and was a weapon there, and then he was a big part of this Bombers championship team, this year. So they're using every type of facet they can. Maybe a team like Kindersley, a team like Melfort, they're kind of right in the thick of it all. They maybe are more likely to say this is a direct pathway to the SJHL from the draft in a greater sense for their roster. But then the highest level it should be, you'd think, would be the likes of the Warman Wolverines and the Humboldt Broncos, teams that are right around Saskatoon. A lot of kids in the draft come from Saskatoon because, obviously there's no team in Saskatoon in our league. So Humboldt, Warman are close. And so they're going to try to target those kids that are geographically closer. The same can kind of be said about Weyburn and Estevan with regards to Regina being a center as well. But yeah, it really depends geographically. But that's a great question. It is just a tool in their toolkit. They have lots of tools in their toolkit, these GMs, these directors of scouting, and they have to that way to be competitive.
Last hockey thought for you, Warman Wolverines. What comes to mind when you hear and or think? You're very, of course, familiar with the roster, having followed them when they were in Notre Dame. What has been the reaction in Warman, and how is that franchise building?
Yeah, it's off to a terrific start. I know the results last year were not what they, wanted, finishing 11 out of 12 teams. And, it's not easy, Dave, all sports are cyclical. How you did last year will impact how you do next year, maybe with the exception of the CFL. Maybe that's the only example where it's not that way. But, and hopefully that's not the case for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Hopefully it's exactly the same. But anyways, I digress. Certainly it's a thing where the team is, trying to find its new identity on the ice, but off the ice, the in-game experience, the fan support, the community support, the corporate support, the ownership was all there. The commitment from the ownership led by John Abrametz was first class. And of course, 11 of the 12 teams in our league are community owned, and that one is expecting to be community owned in a couple of years. But the ownership so far, that's not community owned, has done a nice job in trying to support Brett Pilkington, the GM, and try to move that team forward. Hopefully the results follow. Hopefully there's patience in that community for results to follow after what happened at the end of the existence of the Notre Dame Junior Hounds, which to be fair wasn't a great competitive team on the ice. But certainly they've done everything in terms of making it a fun place to be, community focused, and the only expectation is that it's going to be a terrific spot. Talked about how close they are to Saskatoon, first class facility. First class in-arena experience, and again, nothing but great things expected from that Warman organization moving forward.
Jamie Neugebauer, before I let you go and get back to the draft and do your job, We are 48 hours away from the World Cup. As a Saskatchewan soccer fan, I live vicariously through you as you've attended numerous games in what is now Toronto Stadium. And tell me what you're expecting from this World Cup in Canada.
Oh, you hit me a question right in the feels there, Dave. Look, the expectation is I don't know what to expect. And, obviously I want to be positive. I want to hope for great things. I think, there's two sides of the coin. One side of the coin is such great uncertainty with this national team, so many injuries and just a lack of ability in the big moments in the past to really, find a way to go really far in tournaments, with the Copa America being maybe one exception where they went to the semifinals. But every other time it seems like, be it Nations League, be it Gold Cups, they've had a hard time actually, doing it in the moment, and a lot of that has to do with scoring goals. I think, finishing chances. Now, that all being said, Jesse Marsch, the manager, is known. He's done Premier League. He's been in the Bundesliga in Germany. He's coached in the Champions League in Austria. He's been there and done that in big moments. Now it's time for them to show. But to answer your question simply, Dave, I don't know what to expect, just because so many guys are coming back from injury. If everybody was healthy, I'd feel a lot more comfortable. Either way, I know they'll work hard. Those guys, care so much about Canada. They care so much about the jersey. They care so much about hosting it. And I can't wait to be there. I'm going to be there in Vancouver for one of the games. I know my brother and other people are going to be there for a lot more, but be watching closely. It should be a lot of fun, my friend.
You've been in Toronto before. Is that the right venue for Canada? Should they be playing in a Montreal and Vancouver, or are you comfortable with that stadium? You've been there before.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to be a season, not a season ticket holder, but I would go to TFC a lot. And, games are going to be, 2 of the 3 group stage games for Canada are going to be in Vancouver. So certainly that's a positive. I mean, yeah, I think in terms of travel, in terms of ability to host a lot of people at once, certainly Toronto is a place, and the national team has been tied to what they call BMO Field, the national stadium, whatever you want to call it, over the years. I think so. I mean, again, they've done a lot to renovate it, to add seats to it. What they'll keep for the Argos moving forward, I don't really know. I know there's a lot of strife between the soccer community and the football community in Toronto over the fact that they both have to share that stadium, and it's not ideal that way, perhaps. But certainly they got to. But I think it's been the right call too, to have 2 of the 3 group stage games in Vancouver, where there's more seats and maybe a more interested culture in Canadian soccer. Whereas in Toronto, there's tons and tons and tons of soccer fans, but how many of them are Canada soccer fans? How many of them are Italians? How many of them are Serbs and Croat? The national team where their parents are there from, maybe a bit more. But, either way, the options in Canada, legitimate options with no disrespect to anybody, maybe a little bit limited. So they got to do what they got to do, but pretty cool. It'll be awesome no matter what on the 12th to see Canada, kick it off against Bosnia at 1 p.m. Saskatchewan time. It should be a lot of fun.
Okay, before I let you go then, I'm not going to put you on the spot. We already said we don't know what to expect from Canada. Who should we be watching for to have success at this World Cup?
Well, I mean, I don't know who's betting against France, like Kylian Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele, maybe the 2 best players in the world that are, at the same time. But if you're looking for a dark horse or a darling to cheer for as a Canadian, maybe Norway. And a big reason I say that is because they have the best center forward in the world in Erling Haaland. They have a great deep roster. A lot of people are talking about them. They're in a tough group with France and Senegal, but it should be a fun one to watch. There's lots to watch, out for throughout. But if you're looking for, the favorites, it's France. A dark horse, it's probably Norway. But why not back Canada? I mean, we got an exciting group of players that play hard. They play athletic. They play hockey style in terms of being physical and getting in your face, and they'll throw an elbow at you. And sometimes they get in trouble, but they play with a lot of passion, and that's what we look for in Canada. If you're going to lose, you got to do it with passion. And this team is going to be one that represents us as a nation. So there you go.
That's a new one. I wish I had that in my youth. If you're going to lose, do it with passion. It would have made things much easier.
Yeah.
I can hear the commissioner in the other room saying, get back to work. Neugsie, thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate your time. And again, all the best. We'll check in and go Canada.
It's an honor. Thank you so much. Go Canada, go.
Jamie Neugebauer, he is the SJHL co-director of media and communications, joining us on the Sports Cage. We need to take a break. We'll come back with more in a moment. This is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com and on your radio at 620 CKRM. Sports Cage continues on this 9th day of June. Dave Thomas filling in for Barney Shankaruk on this Tuesday. Hey, let's get you up to date with what happened at Saskatchewan Roughriders practice. We'll do that in just a moment. Going to remind you first, though, that, of course, we always love hearing from you, whether that be on our YouTube chat at sportscage.com or, of course, on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for spring or summer jobs, they've got them at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner at 600 Albert Street, 306-936-6262. Also, show off your knowledge this morning. Interesting stat I found today. 97% of North Americans will do this task ambidextrously. They can do it with both hands.
Geez, I don't know.
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed. I'm a right-handed kind of guy. Anything I do with my left hand, check my watch. Check my watch with my left hand.
No. No, you do with both hands.
Both hands.
Both hands. Yeah.
Clean?
No.
Scrub clean?
No. And do you scrub with your left hand?
Sometimes.
Well, you do this all the time, ambidextrously. 97%. So almost everyone. There's a few outliers that don't. And when I heard the answer, when I read the answer, I was like, oh, gee, that does make sense. But you have to think hard. Because, again, it's like something you would never think about, that, yes, I do it with both hands. But it's a task that 97% of us will do, both right-handed or left-handed.
I don't know, Dave. I don't know.
Well, keep that number handy because, of course, we are going to do SaskTel Pick the Score in a little bit, so we'll give you an opportunity to do that. Another number that we're watching today is Ricky Foley. Remember him with the Saskatchewan Roughriders? Former defensive lineman. Was a part of the 2013 Grey Cup championship team. Turns 44 today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the defensive line was front and center today at Saskatchewan Roughriders practice as the team was on the field for the first time since going ahead and declaring their roster all the way back. How did this happen? All the way back on May the 31st, if you believe it or not. So it's been a minute, but the defensive line, the way that they were practicing lined up today, the defensive ends were Desmond Evans and James Vaughters. The interior, Caleb Saunders and Mike Rose. So then you did have some substitutions with Ollie Saad coming in. We saw Nick Weeb actually take a spin. Now he's more of a linebacker and was kind of just jumping in and out a little bit. But
I was about to say, isn't Nick Weeb a linebacker? Yeah, he was on the D-line.
But he jumped in, and I was like, okay, hold on here. So maybe that was a look that they were showing the media. Who knows? Players not practicing today. Offensive lineman Darius Bell, of course, Roughriders drafted him. He's got an ankle injury, did not practice. Dylan Jete, who is, of course, the Rider receiver that they also drafted this year, he's got a thigh injury, didn't practice. Daniel Johnson, he was nicked up in training camp. He's got a shoulder hurt. He was limited in his participation today. And then you've got the 6 gamers, as you want to call them, Lake Corte Moore, Benoit Marion, and Ryder Varga, all not practicing today. They are all on the 6-game injured list with knee, shoulder, and knee injuries. So there you go. That's what happened today at Rider practice. Hey, also a big day today for hockey. It was on this day that a Canadian heritage moment was born in 2008 when CTV acquired a very big piece of Rough Rider of hockey history. 2008. I don't know. How old were you in 2008?
I was 10. I was 10.
This was huge. It was incredible how much controversy this drummed up in 2008.
I don't know.
TSN and CTV, so Bell Media, on this day in 2008, acquired the hockey song. Or I guess it's officially known as the hockey theme. The Hockey Night in Canada. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows it, but there was a huge thing because it was on CBC, and so TSN acquired it, and then they wouldn't let CBC or anybody else use it. So
that is hilarious.
Yeah, and it was an uproar. People are upset.
Well, those things become staples pretty quick, and then you insinuate hockey with the theme. after a while. And it's the same thing with some other themes like the football stuff and whatnot. It is interesting. Do you know how much they bought it for?
It was actually an exorbitant. It was pretty pricey because then 5 years later they lost the NHL rights and couldn't really use it for anything, and so they still own it. But like, I believe they use it on their regional broadcasts, like for Winnipeg and Montreal and Toronto, but that's it. They don't use it for the World Junior. I thought they would use it for the World Juniors or something, but they don't. But that was 18 years ago. Like let that and like I said, you know how everybody loves change, so you can imagine how well that went.
Yeah. that is pretty funny though. I never would have guessed. You always come up with these trivia facts and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, man, I hope Dave just tells me because I don't know.
You know you'll never know who Cliff Clavin was, but it's a Cliff Clavin moment, right? When you belly up to the day he was in Cheers. Search 80s sitcoms. You'll find him. Hey, speaking of 80s sitcoms, Michael J. Fox today, also celebrating a birthday today. He can get a Canadian pension check. He's 65.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Michael
there you go.
J. Fox. A little Back to the Future moment right there.
There you go. Look at you. Look at you go.
I know that much.
Yeah.
I know he was in Back to the Future.
So while we're all singing the Hockey Night in Canada theme in our heads, should we get to our sprinkle of the day?
Yes.
Of course.
We shall sprinkle.
Get in on more of the sports action you want. It's easy as playing sportselect.com. Simply make your picks online, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local lotto spot retailer. Every bet is 100% legal with the chance of winning cash in hand. Sports Select, when you're ready to play, bet on the original. Must be 18 plus to play responsibly, and I don't think we need to look any further than the Carolina Hurricanes and Vegas Golden Knights playing Game 4 in Vegas tonight. An extra day off for the Hurricanes in Vegas, what possibly could go wrong, but I don't think it's any surprise that it's even money right now. Like it's a toss-up on Sports Select on the Pro Line as to who's going to go ahead and take this one home tonight. The tie is well in play as well, 360 on the tie. And again, with 1-goal games all series long, why not? Your props to get points tonight, we're looking at Seth Jarvis and Stone from...
Mark Stone
from the Golden Knights.
I feel like I'm thinking Seth Jarvis for that props.
I agree. And then you've got Svechnikov and Stone as well. There's a big lean on Mark Stone here, right? And then how about the Sebastian Aho and Mitch Marner.
Mitch Marner for shots.
Yeah.
I don't know on that one. I want to say Mitch Marner is where I'd probably sprinkle. When I see that there's 2 props here for Mark Stone, you got to double down sometimes.
That's true, right?
It's like maybe Mark Stone gets an assist and a point, and then you could double.
You double it, yeah.
I think that might actually be the sprinkle. Mark Stone, he's coming in hot, the vet.
Oof. I just don't like how it seems like he has circumvented the cap for years. So it's hard for me to cheer and or
don't hate the player, hate the game.
Hate the game, true.
Hate the game.
Of course, go to your local retailer and they can help you with the Sports Select, or of course, scan the QR code when you go online and do it on your phone. It is easy, it is simple, and best part of all, of course, you are helping support all of those folks in Saskatchewan and recreational projects. Again, go to Sports Select, must be 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. That is the sprinkle of the day. All right, need to take another break. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the night's action. Of course, your Sports Cage ticker is coming up in just a few moments, and guesses are pouring in on the text line when it comes to what 97% of us are able to do ambidextry. No, you can be ambidextrous and do this. 97% of us. Yeah, because I was adding, that wouldn't have been bad. But Travis is using your phone.
Using your phone. I use my phone with my right hand mostly.
Yeah. Okay. And then driving, but
just the thumb.
Just the thumb, right? Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. And then, but like I said, then the other one is driving. And I'm one-hand guy.
I'm a one-hand guy,
I'm
too.
One-hand guy. Like, don't tell my driver teacher.
I think it's been long enough, but what are the statutes and limitations to getting your license taken away, driving one hand for X amount of years?
No, you can do. I think some of them even encourage it. But again, back in the day, it was hands on the wheel 10 and 2. Now it's 9 and 3, right? So
6 o'clock, just one hand.
6 o'clock, yeah. Usually, when I was learning to drive in the pasture, my grandfather had his hand on the wheel the whole time, too. So it was 3 hands, but that's a different story. Okay, we're going to take a break, come back with more of your guesses. Lots happening. It's the Sports Cage on a Tuesday. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankruk. You're watching. Thank you for that at sportscage.com and, of course, online at CKRM on our website or on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. Rent a water heater and water softener starting at about $1.20 a day and get $400 when you switch to Reliance Heath.
All right, here we go. Reliance Heath Water Heaters and, of course, your ticker. The Regina Red Sox back in action tonight. They're hosting the Weyburn Beavers at 7:05. Tough week for the Red Sox. Last week they dropped 4 games, looking to turn it around tonight. Again, 7:05 first pitch expected there. The Moose Jaw Millers, they're home to the Swift Current 57s, and the Medicine Hat Mavericks are up in Saskatoon taking on the Berries. A lot of us watching the National Hockey League Stanley Cup Final. We talked about it in our sprinkle of the day. Who are you going with, Carolina or Vegas? Of course, Vegas leads the series 2-1. Its Game 4 puck drop is at 6. And in the majors of baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. First pitch there is 5 o'clock. The Jays were, I almost said embarrassed, but they weren't embarrassed. But come on, Vladdy. Hit with somebody in scoring position. Please, please, please. Jays and Phillies, again, 5 o'clock first pitch. SportsCage.com poll question, which CFL Week 1 winning team impressed you the most? You can vote anytime at SportsCage.com. And if you haven't become a Rider All Access Report member yet, do so now, because you can get in on exclusive trivia questions like a dandy that we got about Micah Johnson right now. Again, find out more at SportsCage.com. Coming up after 4, Coast to Coast with Arash Madani. 97% of North Americans are ambidextrous when they do this. What is it? Well, that might be easier to tell us, or maybe harder when you're predicting the score with SaskTel and Pick the Score. That is coming up, plus your clutch performers and more. It's all in a Tuesday edition of the Sports Cage at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM. Tuesday, the 9th of January? Whoa. June, how about? Wow, I was starting to think about, I was trying to remember the day in January that we kicked off the Grey Cup celebration tour with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because it kind of seemed like it's the longest countdown to kickoff ever, but game week is here. The Riders and BC Lions. BC talking about revenge after the loss in the West Final last year. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, I get the sense that they're just itching to go. They are all itching to go. Corey Mace told us yesterday on the Coaches Show. If you missed it, you can find the stream and, of course, the podcast at sportscage.com or on our YouTube channel. But Coach Mace said, if the guys took a vote, that likely they would want to be playing last week. That wasn't the case, but they're ready to go this week. Day 1 of practice was in the books. It was a crisp practice. Probably the defense made a couple of nice plays. A big pass breakup on Sam Emilus. Didn't bring that up while Sam was with us, just saying. But Riders are getting set to go, and we will too, as we're going to talk some CFL momentarily. Also coming up, we've got your clutch performer before the top of the hour. Your chance to get in the game with SaskTel and Pick the Score. Yes, it's back. We'll get back to the text line for that in just a little bit. Plus, Glen Suitor is coming up, something that I know Calgary fans and Stampeder fans are not happy about. We're going to talk about it with Glen. That is coming up. And Mike Babcock, will he be the next head coach of the Edmonton Oilers? Well, one of his former assistant coaches are going to join us before 6 o'clock. Got a special event coming up in the province that we're very happy to be a part of and proud to support, but also unique insight into Babs. That is coming up before 6 o'clock here on the Sports Cage. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankaruk. Again, we've also, stupid numbers. Numbers are fun. Analytics are fun. 97% of North Americans are ambidextrous when it comes to this task. And again, we've got lots of folks that are weighing in, from scratching an itch to pointing a finger to, again, lots of people saying driving. It's not driving. That's a good answer, but not it. We will get back to more of your guesses in just a moment. First, he is ambidextrous because he is so flexible in everything that he does. I don't think that there is a sport on the planet he cannot cover. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, time to say good afternoon to Arash Madani.
It's time to go coast to coast with Arash Madani for Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Gawley at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533.
Yes, Arash Madani joins us Tuesday after week one of the Canadian Football League season. I don't know. It seems like Christmas is delayed 2 weeks because we didn't get to celebrate last year, but now we're going over to Dad's house this weekend to celebrate with the start of the Roughriders. But was week one what you thought it would be?
In some ways, I was expecting Ottawa to be a mess, and they were. I was expecting Montreal to really show out if Davis Alexander could stay healthy, and they did. But I will say this, Dave, and I know people there won't like this, but I was really impressed with Winnipeg. I get it's only 1 week. There's a long way to go for a veteran team, for a, dare I say, old team. But they looked really good, not just because they won, but just the way they played and how in sync they were. And I listened to the coaches' show yesterday, and by the way, it was a great interview with Mace. But I thought Corey made a really good point. He said, the foundation's already been set. We're so ahead of things from where we were last year at this time because everyone's speaking the same language. In a lot of ways, Winnipeg on the defensive side of the ball, on special teams is there. But on offense, Tommy Condell's come in there, and they looked a lot crisper than I thought they were going to.
This may sound ridiculous. And again, I'm no offensive coordinator. You know that very well. But to me, it seemed in that game that both teams went away from what was working in the first half and running the football. Did you sense that as well?
In the Winnipeg game?
Yeah.
Well, this to me is going to be a really interesting part of the Blue Bombers season. Because if you think back to last year in Ottawa, the Red Blacks did not run the football. They just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Stanback's a pretty good running back. Now, and look, Tommy likes to throw the football. That's his calling card. Of course, that's why Collaros wanted Condell in there, and they have the relationship, all those things. But now you come to Winnipeg and Brady Oliveira's there. And to me, this is this was the question coming into the season in Winnipeg, and it's going to be something to keep an eye on the rest of the year is how will they deploy the running game? How will Oliveira be used? How often are they going to go to Brady? And will they stay committed to the run game? And if they do, they're going to put themselves in a, terrific position week in and week out. Old habits die hard. Will Condell continue to stick with it? I think this is going to be a fascinating thing to watch over there in Winnipeg as the season unfolds.
I thought it was interesting they didn't go to Nick Dembski till the third quarter. But again, all eyes are on Zach Collaros. How did you see him breaking down in game one?
I thought Zach kind of turned back the clock and looked 3 or 4 years younger. He was on point. He was on target. He seemed comfortable, which is kind of on tracks based on what I was told coming out of Winnipeg during training camp, that it's kind of a bit of a rejuvenated Zach Collaros. He's just happier, lighter around that whole environment. And it's showing. Dave, we're not here to dump dirt on somebody's grave. The Jason Hogan thing didn't work as an offensive coordinator, as a play caller. Fine. Now it's a different dynamic. I think that's going to help Zach. I think it's going to help that offense.
How do you think Cody Fajardo did in the monsoon?
I did not think the weather affected Cody. I thought Cody affected Cody, especially in the red zone. It felt like there was Edmonton won by a touchdown. Mm-hmm. It felt like they left at least 18 points on the board. And Cody just trying to do too much. When players always say, especially vets, hey, the game's slowing down for him. Cody sped everything up. He was trying to thread so many needles. He's throwing he's out there trying to be Aroldis Chapman, throwing 102-mile-an-hour fastballs instead of just being like, okay, let's just take a little off the ball here, Cody. He was amped up, like one too many Red Bulls pregame. Like, I get it. You're excited. It's opening day. You want to show out. You're finally the franchise quarterback there after all the nonsense that went on last year, et cetera, et cetera. Usually things like that you see from a young quarterback, not a vet. With Fajardo, look, it was week 1. They get the win. They go on the road and win. I just thought that watching that, I'm like, he's going to look back at this and just say, is that a 22-year-old rookie out there? Or is that, so he's going to learn from that. But that's really what stood out to me.
How big was that win for Edmonton? I know it's a long season, but wasn't that gigantic?
It certainly felt like it, Dave. And I want to be careful the way I say this. I don't think Mark Killam's on the hot seat. But I do think things are a little warm there.
Wow.
And when they added Rick Campbell to the coaching staff in April, I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. Why is this? Could there be any trouble in paradise with Ed Hervey and Mark Killam? Because the understanding I had about how that whole thing shook down is that Chris Morris, the team president, had a real say in the hiring of Killam as head coach, and Ed Hervey is now trying to flex himself. When you hire somebody in April as a coaching analyst who you've worked with before, who's the son of Hugh, who's, all those kinds of things, I don't know this definitively, Dave, but I'm pretty confident Mark Killam's been looking over his shoulder a couple of times, being like, what is going on here? So, first-time head coach, you go on the road, you beat your buddy Dinwiddie that you worked all those years in Calgary with together. For those of you watching on the stream, it was a raucous visitors' locker room in Ottawa, and Killam was fired up. One game is one game, but 1-0 when you're looking over your shoulder, when that seat may be warm, et cetera, I think that meant something.
All right. I had a discussion at practice today with Lawrence from Section 117, who has been a proud Saskatchewan Roughriders season ticket holder for the last 23 seasons. Wow. I mentioned that, hey, I'm filling in for Barney on the Sports Cage today. That didn't impress him much. Yes. But when he heard Arash was on, then he was all in. So, Lawrence, appreciate you. Had a great chat.
Appreciate you, Lawrence. Thank you.
And the reason I bring this up is I knew we were going to talk about quarterbacks. And so I wanted to get his thought and theory on what he liked about the quarterbacks. He loves Trevor Harris. Why wouldn't you? But he believed, and this is Lawrence's quote from Section 117, Davis Alexander is the most overrated quarterback in Canadian Football League history. Hot take from Lawrence.
Lawrence, what are they serving over there in Section 117? I'd like to have some of it.
I know, right?
Davis Alexander, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. I'm pretty sure Davis Alexander has not lost a regular season game that he has started.
12-0 in the regular season, yep. The one game that he started and lost was the Grey Cup.
On a bad hamstring. So I'm not going there yet. I've watched a lot of dreadful quarterback play on both sides of the border.
Sorry, Minnesota.
Yeah, all of it. I mean, look. No, I wouldn't go there, Lawrence. I would say this: if Davis Alexander stays healthy, we're going to find out if Lawrence is right or wrong. Mm-hmm. There is nothing that has suggested yet that Lawrence's theory may be on track. Because here's what I like about Alexander: he's playing with confidence. He'll step into his throws and absolutely, launch one. He'll take off running with the football. He can throw on the run. He has so many of the qualities that you want in a CFL quarterback, with the size of the field, et cetera, et cetera. I look at what Alexander does in terms of being evasive, in terms of getting out of the pocket. These are the things you need. But you got to be on the field. And, an old GM, Dave, once said to me, I'll never forget this. He said, you know what the difference between a crappy player and an injured player is? I said, no. He said, nothing. Because neither are of any use to me. Davis Alexander, when healthy, has shown to be plenty useful, but he needs to stay healthy, because if you can't play, you're of no use. And when he plays, he's of ample use. So that's what's going to be important here this season for Alexander.
Is that, I don't know at what point can you shake that we're watching his health and we can just evaluate on, hey, he's good, he's not, like, is there a standard?
November,
Really?
Like, can you go a season? Okay, if you miss a game or two. The problem with Alexander's injuries have been hammies. Hamstrings not only take a while to heal, but then you think you're okay, or you're trying to convince yourself you're okay, and then they go again, which is what happened to him last year. Often what trainers, doctors, medical professionals will tell athletes, coaches, everybody is, well, you just need time. The problem is the moment the season starts, there's no time ever. On a completely unrelated note, not a hamstring, but I remember in 2022 being in the Blue Jays clubhouse, and Teoscar Hernandez had just come back from the injured list, and he'd had a brutal series in Pittsburgh, like to start the series. And I walk into the clubhouse on the Sunday morning, quiet locker room, 10:30 in the morning before a 1:00 game. And Teo's like hobbling around, ice just wrapped around his right foot, and his feet are in flip-flops. And I just look at him like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what is going on here? And they said, I need 8 weeks for this thing to heal, or just play until it breaks. And he said, it's Labor Day. I don't got 8 weeks, so I'll just play till it breaks. So yeah, it's injuries, man.
I do want to hit you up on World Cup before we run out of time, but I will. Do you want another Lawrence hot take from Section 117?
I love the Lawrence hot take, sure.
So again, obviously we were talking about quarterbacks, him and I. Who do you think he would suggest has the deepest quarterback room in the Canadian Football League right now?
I would think you would pick the 4-quarterback rich Saskatchewan Roughriders.
No, he picked an East Division team of all teams, and I thought.
Don't tell me Ottawa or Lawrence. Lawrence, I'm going to send the cops outside practice for a breathalyzer. Please. He didn't say Ottawa.
He said Ottawa, and I thought.
Oh my God, Lawrence!
But he alluded. He told me East Division, and I thought, oh, okay, maybe he's referring to the Toronto Argonauts, perhaps, right? That was where my mind jumped. But Drew Brown and Jake Mayer was Lawrence's hot take.
So, I have an honest question. Other than being Zach Collaros' backup, what has Drew Brown ever done in the Canadian Football League?
Didn't stay healthy. Didn't have an offensive line to stay healthy.
How about when he was healthy? How about when he should have been playing, opted not to, saying he wasn't healthy? And I have no time for it. To me, I don't think Jake Mayer's very good. But the fact that they just basically came in, Dinwiddie and company, in January, signed Jake Mayer, and gave him the keys after one preseason game tells you all you need to know about Drew Brown.
Fair. I'll let Lawrence marinate with that.
Now, Lawrence, I'll tell you this. They got a rookie out of Utah State that they're really high on over there in Ottawa, and he looked good in the preseason. I wouldn't mind seeing a little more of him. But Drew Brown at that cap figure,
All right. Let's go to the European brand of football, if that is all right with you. Want to talk a little FIFA World Cup, 72 hours away from Canada opening against Bosnia. It seems like it's creeping up on everybody outside of Toronto and BC right now, but slowly, I think momentum is building for the event, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I live in Toronto. I live 15 minutes from the stadium. It's on here. It's on. Here's what's going to happen, Dave. It's almost like, remember the Vancouver Olympics? People were like grumbling and groaning, and they weren't really interested. And then all of a sudden they lit the cauldron, and the next day we all became like speed skating experts. Like suddenly we're analyzing the luge. You're going to start waving the flag. You're gonna get caught up in it. If Canada can get a result against Bosnia on Friday, the volcano will erupt. All the molten lava will come out, and all the lava is going to be red and white. It's going to be a real thing. And this is neat. This is special. The issue is FIFA's a disaster. The whole thing going on south of the border is a mess. But Team Canada, I think Team Canada is going to end up truly being the national team.
They get out of the group stage, do you think?
I do. I read somewhere that it's something around a 97% chance if you finish with 4 points. So Canada has 3 matches. They open with Bosnia, then they get Qatar, and then they get Switzerland. Qatar's the free space on the bingo card. You get a win, that's 3 points. If they can manage a draw against Bosnia, there's your 4th point. And, Switzerland's going to be tough. But even if you end up just with 3 points, the analytics say it's something like a 67% chance you get through. I'm pretty confident this is a Canadian team that'll get through the group stage. They're a little banged up right now on the injury front, but they're good. They're a good team. They have a good goalkeeper. They have guys who can put the ball in the net, even though they haven't so far in the lead up to this thing. They'll be okay. They're not elite. They'll be okay.
Okay, you mentioned goaltender, right? If we're talking hockey, obviously you're watching goaltender, but I know it was a big deal for Max Crepeau to be announced as the goaltender, netminder for Canada before playing in his hometown, which I'm sure was very special and meaningful for him. But is this as big a deal as it should be?
It is. They give him the gloves. They give him the confidence. They give him the role. And it was pretty neat on Friday night during the anthem before the final tune-up match against Ireland. There he is in his hometown with his dad in attendance. He's crying during the anthem. After the match, he goes and gives his dad a hug. He had a huge stop in that match, et cetera, et cetera. The difference between having a quality keeper and a not quality keeper is all of it. Because the margin for error in this sport is just so slim. And so, the question was, will Dane Sinclair kind of enter the conversation here or not? You got the sense that Max Crepeau was Jesse Marsh's guy. And it's interesting, Dave, Jesse Marsh, for anybody who's followed Canadian soccer, they may remember whatever it was, how many years ago, 12, 13, 14 years ago. Jesse Marsh was the head coach of the MLS team in Montreal. In those days, they signed an 18-year-old kid named Max Crepeau to be part of their kind of development program for the professional team in Montreal. And now here he is all these years later. He's going to be the starter in the World Cup.
Coast to Coast with Arash Madani for Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Golly at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533. Quick commercial read in there. Now we get back to the, I don't know if elephant in the room is right or not. The star of Canadian soccer to me and many is Alphonso Davies. Can he play in this tournament?
He will not play on Friday, even though they're not announcing it. Can he play in the tournament? Yes. How many minutes will he get? When will he play? How effective will he be? The aggravating of the aforementioned hamstring issues that we just discussed with Davis Alexander, these all kind of hover over this entire thing. And to me, this becomes an interesting part of this. Again, Davies doesn't go Friday. I just can't see it. But if you emerge with 4 points, like if he doesn't play against Qatar or plays minimally against Qatar, and you know that you're through, do you risk him against Switzerland or do you give him more rest time? That becomes, an interesting question that we're probably going to be talking about a couple of weeks from now, Dave. But it's really interesting because if you polled 100 Canadians, you'd say, name me as many Canadian soccer players as you can. I think most are going to say Christine Sinclair and Alphonso Davies, and it ends there. There's a lot of focus on Davies, and rightfully so, for a lot of reasons, that being among them. But he is not a make or break on this roster. And that's an important thing to remember.
Last question when it comes to the World Cup facilities. The stadium formerly known as BMO Field in Toronto, is it ready? Is the pitch okay? Is it going to be conducive for getting people in and out? I hear the security measures are going to be through the roof.
Yeah, no, it's all systems go. The pitch actually looks really good. It's a fortress down there, Dave. Like, you can't get near the stadium unless you have a ticket or a credential. This is not a fan event. This is a made for TV and if you got a lot of money, we'll welcome you in event. But Friday is going to be nuts. Friday is going to be a really cool day, evening, night. I think not only in Toronto, but across the country when people start kind of getting into this thing.
Have you seen anything on Vancouver? And I hear the amount that they spent on getting the grass inside BC Place was phenomenal. As far as I don't know if that's the right adjective or not, but they're even going to keep the roof closed apparently during matches so that everybody has the same atmosphere to play in, for lack of a better term.
I read somewhere that they put like $200-300 million into BC Place too.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put grass in for this, why can't we have grass in for everything?
Oh boy, I am so with you. I would love to see grass at Rogers Center for the Jays. I think that would be game changing.
And they examined it and they looked into it. And this isn't just Blue Jays hyperbole, because the group they were consulting with, one of my dad's best friends was actually in the middle of all of that. They also dealt with the people at University of Guelph. That when they built the then Sky Dome back in whatever it was, 1989, what was on vogue all those years was, let's just get as much steel and concrete in there as possible. There's just no drainage at all, which is part of the reason why the World Cup's being held at, now they're calling it Toronto Stadium, BMO Field, and not the Dome. That's a big part of it because grass is a must.
Can you take a quick question from Jesse about the...
I'd love to. I'd love to take one from Lawrence, too, because, 6 hours after practice, I wonder
Lawrence is busy. It's happy hour right now. He can't come.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, on the Prairie Land Rentals text line at 306-936-6262, Jesse, obviously a Blue Jays fan, Arash, wants to know, why don't they move Vladdy down the order?
Because he's still Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's still being paid. He's still in the middle of a $500 million a year contract. What you don't need to do right now is have him get further into his own head. They truly believe he's going to turn this thing around, Jesse, and get the pop back into his bat. And it was interesting. Shameless plug to Jesse and everybody else out there. I've started a podcast with Josh Donaldson and Russell Martin called the Get It Done League. And we were talking about Vlad the other day. And Donaldson's point was, Vlad doesn't need to think about anything in the ballpark right now other than looking straight out into the WestJet flight deck and just thinking about hitting it there. And I thought that was a really interesting perspective from obviously a guy who knows something about hitting. He said, once you get one of those things going, then like a lot of things unlock for you and a lot of tension that's built up can go away. Vlad just needs something to go his way, and it's been a while. It's a fair question, Jesse. I get it. I understand it. I'm watching the same games you are. But because what you're paying him, because of how valuable the bat can be, you just can't mess with it.
I'm so glad you brought up that podcast. It's amazing. I could sit there and listen to the three of you for hours. And
it's just story time. Speaking of story time, last thing, I know you got to go, Dave. So the guys are in town. It's the Joe Carter Classic this week in Toronto. The guys were in town. Sunday they went to the game. Donaldson calls me a day or two before, and he says, I got an idea for Sunday after the game. What's this guy's idea? He got jerseys made. The Jays got it, Donaldson and Martin jerseys. He calls Russ. I'm full jerseys, full baseball pants. Donaldson has his batting gloves from back in the day that have number 20 and BOR written on them, bringer of rain. He gets his baseball shoes, his spikes, tells Russ, let's go. So we start driving around town with a camera crew. We start showing up at slow pitch diamonds all over the city, and they just roll up and they're like, hey, can I get an AB? You got room for a pinch hitter? And the looks on people's faces, Dave. You know what? Tomorrow when I come on with Brendan, I'll show you. I'll show some of these photos and videos that we did. It was just crazy. It was so much fun.
It's awesome, and we will get to see that, right?
Yes, I will send them over tomorrow. Curtis will get them all ready. There are no FIFA restrictions on videos I'm taking on my phone from a slow pitch field, are there, Curtis?
Don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Arash, and I won't get a chance to talk to you before the World Cup gets going, but again, appreciate you. Enjoy the World Cup. Again, we're living vicariously through your eyes, so thanks so much for the storytelling, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Good to see you, bud.
And by the way, Lawrence and I will toast you tomorrow.
Please do. Give my best to Lawrence.
117.
Yes. Yes.
Arash Madani for Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Golly at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533. Of course, Arash joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. It's about that time where you should start placing your order for supper. Why not? Go for the lasagna. It's the new favorite in the Thomas household after the number 2 was a staple for 2 years. It's tough to unseat that. That's all I'm going to say. Coming up, we've got your clutch performer as well. Going to go inside the Edmonton Oilers, perhaps hiring Mike Babcock. We'll tell you about that. And, of course, Glen Suitor is going to, Stampeders fans aren't going to be happy. I understand this, but we're going to have the conversation with Suits regardless. Thanks to Arash again for going coast to coast on this Tuesday afternoon. It's all brought to you by Saskatchewan Lotteries, bringing communities together. Sask Lottery products fund over 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. Your clutch performers are next. This is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM.
You know that Extreme Hockey and Sport has everything you need for hockey, but warmer weather has them thinking baseball. Be all set for the ball diamond with team kits, bats, gloves, accessories, and training products all in stock. And let's not forget about lacrosse. Don't let spring throw you a curveball. Be ready with Extreme Hockey and Sport, locally owned, community focused, 1425 McIntyre Street at the Cooperator Center, now in Moose Jaw, and online at extremehockey.net.
Gordon tells us why he called Brian Golly of Smart Investing Solutions.
Well, I actually heard Brian's commercial on CKRM, and at the time I was just retiring, so I was looking for a financial advisor. I would recommend my family, friends, or anybody to contact Brian. He's a super knowledgeable fella.
Don't guess with your money. Call Brian at 306-546-2533. SmartInvestingSolutions.ca.
The summer farm season provides a landscape full of opportunity with Ritchie Brothers. Our sales schedule runs from June 9th through August 12th, with 35 exclusive farm auctions spread across Western Canada, bringing you fertile land and quality equipment ripe for the picking. When the fields are at their best, it's time to tap into farm country. Get started today at rbauction.com/agriculture. Once again, that's rbauction.com/agriculture.
The Roughriders season is here, and the biggest 50-50 in Saskatchewan is back. Last year's 50-50 raised over $3.3 million for amateur football in Saskatchewan, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you, Rider Nation. This year, we have bigger loyalty and early bird prizes than ever before, not to mention those life-changing 50-50 jackpots. See all of the prizes and buy your tickets today at riders5050.ca, and never miss a chance to win when you sign up for the 50-50 Club.
Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC.
Lottery license LR260010.
The Sports Cage Clutch Performer for Keln Solar. Thinking about saving money by using solar power? Keln Solar is a local family company that can put solar panels on your home, business, or farm. KelnSolar.com.
Alrighty, Clutch Performer time on this Tuesday afternoon. Dave Thomas filling in for Barney Shankaruk. Thanks for joining us and hanging around. We've got lots still to get to, including a chance to do some winning, and that 97% of North Americans do this ambidextrously. Is that right? We're going to go with that. All right. Clutch Performer time. I'm going to go to the Toronto Blue Jays, and definitely not going to be Vladdy Guerrero. Sorry to pile onto that parade, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is having a time at the plate, so defense comes up big, and that was what it was last night, as we're going to see it at sportscage.com and, of course, streaming at youtube.com. But what an amazing catch by Nathan Lucas, who was playing in right field. The old Kevin Pillar, if you will, going full Superman in the extension to make a big out at a big time for his pitching staff. So Nathan Lucas from the Toronto Blue Jays, and a big catch. Your Clutch Performer for Keln Solar. Of course, they can help you with your livestock operations. Book your solar quotes for your home, farm, or cabin now. Save money with the local company, Keln Solar in Lumsden. Should we do this? The unclutch? I don't know if we should do this.
You guys are big unclutch performer guys. Like, you'll come into the show and you'll have like 3 of them lined up. It's like,
yeah. Oh. No. But yeah, are we diminishing the impact of the Clutch Performer and Nathan Lucas if we go to the unclutch?
Nah, you can do it.
All right. So last night, the NBA Finals in game number 4, San Antonio in New York to take on the Knicks. All of a sudden, everybody in New York is a Knicks fan, as that isn't always the case. But it was a big deal at Madison Square Garden because the President of the United States was attending the game. And the unclutch moment was when he was caught napping in the middle of game 4 at Madison Square Garden.
You know those tickets are expensive too.
Oh,
nap time.
Yeah, and the amount of money that had to be spent at Madison Square Garden to bring in security for the game was astronomical, from what I understand. And you know what? I feel bad criticizing anyone for catching a little cat nap, because I'll tell you the truth. I'm a nap guy. I love naps. But that was interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. Where's have you ever fallen asleep during a sporting event like that?
Never.
You know, one time I got suckered into doing like hot yoga once, and I was told like, oh, you can, you relax, you do what you can or whatever. I'm not a very flexible person. I can barely reach my knees. So I'm not big on yoga. I fell asleep in that class. I just like straight up fell asleep on the ground.
Wow.
And so there's worse places to fall asleep. At least he was in a leather chair. And
yeah, no, it didn't look like it was an uncomfortable position or anything, but like there's excitement, there's noise, there's whatever, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Unclutch. So there you go. Again, for Keln Solar, your clutch and unclutch performers here on this Tuesday edition of the Sports Cage. How about you come up clutch? And I'm not talking you. I'm talking about folks that have an opportunity to pick the score.
Yes. SaskTel pick the score. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, pretty simple. You tell us the score of the Riders game when they take on BC on Saturday night. Closest guess to the actual score gets a $200 SaskTel gift card.
What's your pick currently there, Dave?
My pick? I don't make predictions. I'm no dummy. I wouldn't
you got your lucky
myself.
Socks picked out already?
Yeah.
The game day socks?
I do.
You could technically do, like, if it's a new season, you could do a different pair of socks for the season. Is that how that works?
You could, but I won't.
You're not superstitious, but you're a little stitious.
A little stitious, yeah. And actually, it's funny because Aaron and the crew over at Colin O'Brien's Man Shop, right? They got me hooked up with a new Grey Cup winning outfit. Shall we call it that? Mm-hmm. So I got to see, because I'm too superstitious to wear it week 1. So I will be wearing the Grey Cup outfit week 1 against BC.
Interesting. And
it was brought to my attention, well, why wouldn't you wear the West Final winning outfit? Because that's not how I roll.
So you had 2 different outfits?
Yeah.
But they won both those games.
They won both those games, but there was some theories that the game at home, because again, there's a home and away record for each outfit. So again, it's ludicrous. But if you want to pick the score, now is the time to do it. Hit us up on the text line at 306-936-6262. And we'll do this a couple of ways, all right? So number 1, tell us what the final score is going to be between BC and Saskatchewan. You could win that $200 gift card from SaskTel, but you also have to tell us what it is that 97% of people in North America can do with left hand, right hand, ambidextrous. And you know what? I'll even narrow it down for you. Something that most of us do every day.
Jazz hands.
No. That's
just showbiz, baby.
That is so bad.
I still don't know. It's
something you do daily, like most of us do every day.
Oh, man.
So tell us what it is you do ambidextrous. You can even weigh in on the YouTube chat.
Flossing your teeth?
No. But that's not a bad guess, actually, if you think about it. But if you've got one of those flossers, then you can't do it with both hands. Again, the text line for Prairieland Rentals. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for the spring or summer job at Prairieland Rentals. Deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street, 306-936-6262 if you want to weigh in. And tell us the score. $200 from SaskTel? That's a lot of fun. Tell me right there. Dan says eating. I'm just going to go through some of them already, right? We've got Gary texting with both hands. That makes sense, but it's not that. Cutlery, Sherry says, I like that idea, but no. Shane, I saw, said something about using a fork. That makes sense, but no. It's not that either. Waving?
I just use my right hand to wave.
Yeah, I only use the right hand.
Jazz hands, I use both hands. So.
But actually, it's funny because if you're on the grid road, you know the grid wave?
Yeah.
That's left hand for me. Otherwise, it's a right hand. Jeffrey's weighing in, blowing your nose. I don't know which hand I use.
Like, if I blow my nose, I like that.
You're a two-handed nose blower.
Yeah. I would blow my nose.
I just made that up, by the way.
Oh.
Congratulations, but that's not it.
Why do you do this, Dave? Why do you do this?
Because I read it and I find it fascinating because, like I said, I was thinking about it after I read the answer, and I'm like, that is right. Because...
right and left.
And left, yeah, true. But I was like, that makes so much sense. I would never have ever thought of it. Like, why somebody decided that they would have to write this down for others to read and then obsess about, like I have.
I don't know, but it infuriates me.
Dan says driving, it's not driving.
I don't know. You're going to have to tell me soon, or I'm going to get angry.
Yeah, no, again, that's your hint. It is something that most of us do every day. Like, there's no tricks, no games. Like, again, if you think about it, yeah, most of us would probably do this with left and right hands.
Pinning my socks on.
With both hands, I guess. When you're doing this activity, though, it's a single hand activity. Like, you do it with your left hand, then you do it with your right hand, right? So you're ambidextrous completely, right? You're not using both hands together.
Juggling. Do you juggle daily?
I don't juggle daily.
Okay.
That's one of the skills I'd love to acquire. The former Rider receiver, trying to think which one it was, Sean Bain Jr., fascinated me with his ability to juggle 3 balls around the football field. While early outs or warm-up period was on, he'd juggle and walk around the field. Not bad an eye. It was interesting. Interesting. You know what? We should probably take a break.
Why not? Why not, Dave?
Yeah. Well, we've got Bill from Chilliwack who's weighing in and is actually picking Saskatchewan to beat BC. I appreciate that. Didn't weigh in on what we do ambidextrously, though. But that's okay. Anyways, we do need to take a break. We are going to come back, and we are going to go and talk a little bit of golf with Brian Raymond. He will join us in a moment. Plus, we'll get to your Sports Cage ticker and more. It is a Tuesday edition of the Sports Cage. You are watching the stream on YouTube or at sportscage.com. And, of course, we love to broadcast around the province on one of the biggest stations going, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting, 620 CKRM. Back on the Sports Cage, Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankaruk on this Tuesday. And let's not mess around. Let's head right out to Flowing Springs. Brian Raymond is ready to join us today. And Brian, first and foremost, when it comes to club rental in your facility, more left-handed clubs go out or right-handed clubs?
Definitely more right-handed clubs.
Really?
Yes.
More hockey players than ever before starting to play left-handed. Did you know that?
Yep. That's true. And, actually, the reality is that there are far more left-handed golfers than there used to be because of players like Phil Mickelson and now there's probably 5 or 6 guys on the PGA Tour that all play left-handed, which is totally great news for us lefties.
See, I'm a fellow lefty, too. And at one point, I don't know, outlawed is the wrong word, but you weren't allowed to play right. You weren't allowed to play left-handed, right?
Well, this is true. I mean, that's the way it used to be. Everybody became a right-handed golfer, whether they wanted to or not. And it's kind of weird, but what can I say? It's changing dramatically. And I can remember when I first started in this business, probably 35 years ago. There was not a whole lot of product available in terms of top-end clubs in left hand. And as a matter of fact, Ping did some research because practically 90% of everything that made left-handed came to Canada. And they asked, why was that happening? And the answer was because when you go up and you're going to be a hockey player, they hand you a hockey stick, and you either hold it left-handed or right-handed. Nobody tries to change you. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the way it was in golf. I mean, they just hand you the club and said, okay, well, then you're a lefty.
Huh. Interesting. Well,
yeah, there's more lefties in Canada than anywhere else in the world.
And that totally makes sense now. Okay, so we've had a lot of rain. And how is the course looking right now?
The course is in fantastic shape. We've had rain, but the rain has not been overwhelming in this part of the world. We haven't had the storms that they've had south of here. So the course is in great shape. It's very green because we have had lots of rain, and we do have a great water supply, so it usually stays this way all year.
And you know what? I didn't know this, but you don't have mats or anything on the driving range, which is obviously where I should be spending more of my time at. But the driving range, I call it pure. I don't know if that's the right word or not.
The driving range we have here is, first of all, it's very, very large. We've never had people having to line up or wait to get on the driving range. You just come to the clubhouse. We'll sell you a basket of balls in 3 different sizes. And you're right. There's no mats. It's all grass. We've got a big driving range so we can move the tees around. So there's always fresh tees, or fresh tee areas to tee off from. We have target greens, and we even have a chipping green up there.
So obviously you have specials on throughout the course of the year. What have we got going right now?
Well, every Monday and every Wednesday, if you're a senior or a lady, and a senior here is 60, it's only $42 to come out and play the golf course as opposed to the regular fees. We have specials every day. After 3 o'clock, it's $40.50. After 6 o'clock, it's $23.50, and this is 7 days a week. We also have a 9-hole rate every day of the week. And we've got some great specials right now. If you come out and pay a green fee, we'll give you a $25 gift card towards a pair of Skechers step-in golf shoes or slip-in golf shoes.
I've heard a lot about those Skechers shoes. That a lot of people rave about them.
They're extremely comfortable. If anybody who's worn Skechers shoes, you already know that about the comfort factor, and we do very, very well with them.
And when you go to the driving range, sometimes it's intimidating, but I guess if we get an opportunity to head out there and it's spacious, as you say, you don't have to worry about hot dogs on the driving range. Unless you want to eat one, right?
No, but you know what? If you come out and buy a large basket, we'll give you a certificate to come back any day after 5 o'clock before the end of the month, and we'll give you a large basket at half price, and we'll also give you one of our famous 7-inch Harvest hot dogs for just $1.
Brian Raymond, this sounds fantastic, and one of the things that I appreciate when we're talking Flowing Springs is that when you call the phone number, you actually talk to someone on the line. It's not dial 1 or 3 or 7. You can talk to someone, and is that the best way to get ourselves set up for tee times and taking in some of these great offers?
Yeah, just like when you called today, all you have to do is give us a call at 306-543-5050. We can get you a tee time, and you can actually go to our website, flowingspringsgolf.com, and book online.
Fantastic. Well, some great specials on right now. Always a great time out at Flowing Springs. The course, like you say, is in excellent condition. So if you're like me, you want to go lose some golf balls, no better time, right?
Exactly.
Appreciate this, Brian. Thanks so much out at Flowing Springs. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
All right. Brian Raymond, Flowing Springs. Look at that. The little golf clap at the end and everything, too. And again, easy to find. And again, you're talking with a human being when you call. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm just saying. Just saying. Okay, need to take another break, and we will come back with your Sports Cage ticker in just a moment. This is the Sports Cage. We're streaming at sportscage.com and online and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sport is the home of the price match guarantee. 1425 McIntyre Street, the Cooperator Center, Moose Jaw Temple Garden Center, and online at extremehockey.net.
Hey, great customer service at Extreme Hockey. I can speak from great firsthand experience. Let's get to what's happening in the Western Canadian Baseball League. They've got baseball, of course, over at Extreme Sport, too, so check them out with Extreme Hockey in those great locations. Weyburn Beavers, they're here in Regina tonight to take on the Red Sox. 7:05 first pitch there. In Moose Jaw, the Miller Express taking on Swift Current, also a 7:05 first pitch, while Saskatoon plays in Medicine Hat this evening. National Hockey League, it is Game 4 tonight between the Carolina Hurricanes and Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas leading the series 2-1, while in Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays try to avenge last night's loss to Philadelphia. They host the Phillies. 5 o'clock is your first pitch. That is your Sports Cage ticker. Of course, you can find out all the sports you need and more at sportscage.com and get suited up by the experts at Extreme Hockey. Hey, we talked about winning a trip to Banff. Want to go? Well, today's the day. Got to get yourself a Riders Foundation 50/50 ticket. Of course, plenty of exclusive giveaways and experience all up for grabs with sports trips, vacation destinations all year long. New early bird prize to be won every game and a variety of different ticket packages to purchase. Again, you can get it online at riders5050.ca. The package this time around is a summer Rocky Mountain family getaway. 3 nights at the Malcolm Hotel in Canmore, Icefield adventure, and a ride on the Banff gondola. And get this, not only does it go up, you can also catch it down. We're throwing that in. That's an exclusive Sports Cage offer right now. The return trip. There's people that do that, though, by the way. Just saying. I don't know any of them, but there are people. Deadline to get yours to be eligible for the Summer Rocky Mountain Family Getaway is 10 o'clock tonight. Riders5050.ca. Of course, your purchase not only could put money in your wallet, it also helps out youth programming throughout our province through the Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation. Coming up after the 5 o'clock news. It's an uncomfortable conversation that some are having in Calgary, but we're going to have it with Glen Suitor. Yes, coming up, it is press coverage with Suits. And then we will be joined by a former assistant coach with Mike Babcock, who will have the insight on whether or not Babs is going to go to Edmonton. That's all on the way. Right here on the Sports Cage. We're streaming on YouTube and at sportscage.com and on your radio at 620 CKRM. Tuesday edition of the Sports Cage rolls on this 9th day of June. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankaruk, and we're officially 52 minutes away from me being able to say, no, we didn't break anything. Still a long time between then and now, though, isn't there? Especially when you've asked a question of Saskatchewan. 97% of North Americans can do this with both hands, and they do it every day. It's an ambidextrous task that they're doing. We will find the answer before we get to 6. I promise you that. Also coming up, we are going to talk a little bit of hockey with Kevin Killer Kaminski. He will join us, of course, former assistant coach to Mike Babcock. Is Babs going to Edmonton? We'll find out, plus tell you the details on a very special event that he is planning. That's all coming up here on Hour 3 of the Sports Cage. Without further ado, though, he had a great opening week, I thought, in the Canadian Football League. Just picked up right where he left off. Let's go. Press coverage time with Glen Suitor.
Time now for press coverage with CFL and Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Glen Suitor on the Sports Cage. Brought to you by Freeze Tallman Lumber, locally owned, family grown, rooted in our community for 70 years in Regina and Fort Capel.
Out in Vancouver, joining us with the Ronnie Lott jersey and Glen Suitor 27 jersey over both shoulders. It is TSN's Glen Suitor. Hey, great opening week. Wasn't that fun just to get back to work and get some CFL football on the field?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Dave. By the way, my two favorite safeties back there. No, I'm just kidding. I actually would like to have a Nelson Martin jersey. Remember Nelson Martin from the BC Lions days years and years ago?
Yeah.
You know, growing up in Prince George as a young kid, my dad would drive us down to Empire Stadium to go to one Lions game a year live. And as I sort of was going through, that was the Jerry Taggy, remember him as a quarterback in BC, Leon Bright, who else was there? Ray Nettles. Those were some of the players at that time. And, as I started going through high school football in North End and then college, Nelson Martin was a starting safety in BC, and I thought he was awesome. His range and his speed and stuff like that. So I really should put a Nelson Martin up there. But, that's the Grey Cup jersey from '89.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, question for you. And I'm sorry, I'm going way off track because I do want to address something that has, I think, got both you and I ticked off a little bit. But you mentioned Empire Stadium. Have you been to BC Place lately with the grass in and what it looks like? Have you seen pictures of it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, it's all over the news. I mean, this is big news here because it's costing the province $112 million a game. So they are making it a big deal, and it is a big deal. I'm sort of tongue-in-cheek sarcastic, but it's a big deal, and we are seeing it on the news. We're seeing all the renovations, basically with Surrey, which is the Lions practice facility, and then BC Place and the renos there. I mean, they're talking and have talked about it like it's sort of NFL locker rooms, NFL facilities, and it doesn't surprise me. Amar Doman, once again, I've called him the times, and his coach team continues to just going along, and he's deep.
So just the grass, right? Like, did you play on grass in Winnipeg, or had it been changed to turf?
I didn't in Winnipeg, but we did in Edmonton. And in Edmonton, Dwayne Mandrusiak, who was the equipment guy at the time, we were convinced that we called it gizmo grass because they would leave it a little bit longer because Gizmo had the leg power to get through the longer grass, and most people didn't. So we always thought that they were trying to hook wink us with the grass level, but that was the only one I played natural turf, and I loved it. It was always great until it got close to winter time, November, October, and it was frozen. Different story. But I've heard rumors, and these are just rumors about BC Place, that the Lions organization wanted to pass in and play on the grass, and they were going to actually. This is straight rumor. But that the team was going to pay for the maintenance and everything, not the government. They were going to say if FIFA's over and FIFA's left, the Lions will take care of the rest of the charges to leave the natural grass in there. I don't think it's going to happen. The rumor is that they wanted to, they tried to, and it was a big fat no. They're putting the turf in right after FIFA's done.
Oh. Well, I find the whole process intriguing, but I do want to talk about facilities and watching games. And again, you probably saw the online hate that was being spewed in the Calgary direction. I think that was primarily where I saw it, heading towards Calgary and attendance. And you know what? Like, I'm not here to criticize, condemn, or anybody, because it's your dollars, and whether you attend a game or not is the way that you make your own individual choice. But it really got my ire up. Did you see any of that?
Yeah. I am going to, at this moment moving forward, not get on this hamster wheel discussion over and over again. And it's a good question because the attendance should have been better, and you're hoping for it to be better. I'm going to take that Ottawa rain game out of the equation. I mean, if I'm a family with young kids, there's no way I'm taking my kids to the game. Even if I'm a season ticket holder, I'm saying, you know what, let's watch this one on TV. We'll get the next one, because That was tough slugging. But the other two games, a little disappointing for sure. But this hamster wheel, until we are as vigilant when it comes to attendance and ratings with other sports, then let's not obsess over it. Like, and again, I'm not burying my head in the sand. If we need an increase in attendance and it's been trending in the right direction, for example, the BC Lions are up 10,000 per game since Amar Doman took over a few years ago. I mean, they're up 10,000. They're bumping on 30,000 a game. So that's what's possible. But this just seems to be an ongoing thing that there are certain people on social media that are waiting for attendance numbers. I swear some of them are watching TV, and on that wide shot when the punt is traveling through the air, they're counting. They're freezing their frame and counting fans in the stands and then going all over. It just, if you're going to do it with the Vancouver Canucks and you're going to do it with MLS soccer and you're going to do it with all the other sports in our country, and you're going to look at regular season attendance and say, why were there only 12,000 in a 16,000 arena in our game, in Canada's game, in hockey, and that happens in some arenas. Calgary didn't have great attendance for the Flames this year. The Canucks haven't sold out, I don't think, in a long time. And that's a 16, 17,000 seat stadium. I'm not comparing them. Now I'm on the hamster wheel, so I'm not comparing them. But my point just is that this obsession over it, let's just let things settle in. Let's get into the summer. And by the way, this weekend, I'm sure that Mosaic will be jam-packed.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time raising a banner for sure. Press coverage with Glen Suitor and Fries Tallman. Before we move on to week 2, Glenn, can we talk about week 1 and maybe some takeaways? Was there a bigger winner in week 1 than the Edmonton Elks getting some maybe much needed confidence?
Yeah, that was an important game. That was, for me, that was the what do you got game. Like, that was the game where I was watching thinking, it's too bad about the weather, but I was watching it thinking, these are two teams that sort of are the question marks. How much better will Edmonton really be? And how far have the Red Blacks come from last year? And, having a couple of years now in a row where they haven't been in the playoff hunt. So, these two teams, kind of important to sort of establish what they were. First of all, if you're watching the feed, Justin Rankin is a beast. I mean, an absolute beast. And I love AJ Ouellette. I love a lot of the backs in the league, Brady Oliveira, and we had two great ones in Dedrick Mills and Brady in our game. But this guy is, he can do it all. So, yeah, I think it was a big win. And the other question there in that one was, for me, Dave, is Jake Maier the guy there? And it's only one game, so it's not really fair to completely judge. And the conditions for quarterbacks awful. So it's probably going to be 2 or 3 more games. But I think right away, Ottawa fans are asking that question today.
Well, Lawrence from Section 117, who's been a season ticket holder for 2 decades plus with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, we had a great conversation, and I jest because we did have a good conversation. But he feels that Ottawa's quarterback room is probably the deepest in the league. That's up for debate, I suppose. But how long of a leash does Jake Maier have?
Yeah, that's the question. I'm sure that Ryan Dinwiddie will look at it and say it was a torrential downpour. Hard to throw the ball, hard to throw it down the field, all of those things. Let's not be completely judgmental on this one game. And we've made this decision. He's going to get another 1 or 2 games. But he's got to prove that he can make those intermediate to deep throws as well and as confidently as he does on the check down game. And I think you can go back to his time in Calgary and see a lot of the same. Sometimes when he pushed the ball, it just didn't have the same confidence when he did that as he did in just sort of systematically running the offense, checking it down, get the running game going, those kind of things. So I think that's the question with him. And I wonder, and I haven't asked them, and I won't until I do a game for Ottawa, But did Ryan Dinwiddie look at the two sort of personalities of these players, and did that factor into it? Because if you've talked to Drew Brown, and I know you have, I always kind of make the comparison of surfer dude, but he's not a surfer. It's just he is so laid back and yeah, man. Like he's one of my top receivers, man. Like, he's a super laid back guy. And I wonder if that personality was part of this decision where, Ryan Dinwiddie just didn't feel comfortable going, is he going to take command and take charge? How long this lasts, we'll see. A couple of wins will help Jake, no question.
As long as football has been played, the opening week question always is, who has the bigger advantage, the offense or the defense? Yeah. And I think I'm with you. I thought the offenses in the other two games that weren't affected by the monsoons looked pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's interesting. Dustin asked me that on the air in the Calgary game, our play-by-play guy, and he and it's a great question because it's always defense. It really is. In my experience, the defense, you do have an assignment. All 12 players have an assignment. But if you're in your gap, for instance, as a D lineman, or you're in your coverage drop, or your man, what man you're covering, that's your assignment. And then after that, you're just instinctively flying to the football. So you cover your man, the ball's in the air. If it's not thrown to your guy, you're just flying to the football. It's more of a 12 guys drop to your spot or go to your spot and then fly around. Whereas in offense, it's precision. It's, the wide receiver has to run the 10-yard out at 10, not 11, not 12, not 9, at 10. And the underneath guy has to be at 5. He can't wander, or else he draws coverage into the other player. The offensive line has to be in sync. If one offensive lineman steps the wrong way, that's where the gap is, and your quarterback gets hit. The timing on the drop for a quarterback, he's got to be, at 5 or 7 steps, and he has to let it go right at that moment, or the receiver is waiting. He's run his route already, and now he's sort of waiting there or has to regroup. So all of that precision makes for a little bit longer of sort of lead-up time to be really sharp. Having said that, I think in the first 2 games, wow, offenses were on fire. And it has to do with the quarterbacking. I just think the level of quarterbacks in our league and the veteran players, that's why. They have and some continuity. Let's be honest, some continuity. A lot of returning core guys coming back, and they know the depths and they know the precision needed, and we saw it in week 1.
Glen Suitor from TSN for Freeze Tallman. As sure as the sun will rise, it seems that someone will call in to the radio roundtable here on 620 CKRM and talk about adjustments at halftime. And watching the game that you did, my takeaway was it really seems like the two teams got away from the run game, which I thought was working tremendously in the first half. How does that work? You've been in the locker room. You understand how those adjustments are dissected and communicated to the teams, or maybe I'm completely out to lunch, and there's probably people texting that right now too. So feel free.
we both could be getting that text. Yeah, it's a good question. And Darian Durant would probably be, real good. Save that one for him too at some point. But, to me, and I heard Peyton Manning say this when he was on that podcast or whatever, when they do that commentary beside the real game. And he said, it's really overrated. The halftime adjustments are really overrated. What happens is the coordinators get with their groups and, they talk about what went right, what went wrong, why it did. There'll be the iPad or whatever the tablet is being used to, make sure you look at plays again and you say, this is why this didn't work, those kind of things. You have a little bit of time, but most of the time guys are gathering up, getting ready, going to the bathroom, grabbing somebody, some fruit or something, getting water in them. So it's a bit overrated, but I think what happens, to your point on why does a team go away from the run when it worked in the first half, that is tied into the adjustment that the defense makes. So the defense comes out in the second half, and now they're loading the line of scrimmage, and they're canceling all the gaps, and they're saying, we're not going to let you do this anymore. So the offensive coordinator sees that in the first series and says, okay, we're going to play action. We're going to get our quarterback on different launch points. We're going to go to quick game. If they're going to bring the linebackers up that close to the line of scrimmage to stop Brady Oliveira, we're going to throw it in behind them on these little crossing routes, things like that. So it's sort of, that's one of the great aspects of football is the chess match that goes on. Now, there are times when coordinators overthink that and they go, well, let's just change it up because they'll probably do this. And I would suggest you wait until they actually do the adjustments before you go ahead and move your pawn to King 4 or whatever you want to do.
Through 1 week of regular season play, Glenn, so again, we've had preseason action in Saskatchewan. We've been doing mocks where, okay, we've got 35 seconds between each play. Let's see how this looks like. Let's see how this feels. My experience thus far is that this game is really flowing. And it is really moving at a nice, consistent pace. However, yeah. I thought some of that was counteracted by penalties. What's your feeling been through 1 week?
Yeah, I kind of said and talked about this when the rule changes were first announced and the timing change, the 35-second clock. I think that 35-second clock is working. I think the idea there was to cut out the uncertainty, to cut out where one officiating crew might be different than the other, where substitutions in a game may slow that process down. Now it's cut and dry. You have to be in and out. You can't mess around. So I think that is working in 1 week. It's only 1 week, but it looked good. It looked like it was smooth. But I said this when it was announced, and I still feel the same way, and I have for years. If we want to really improve game flow, we need to cut down the penalties. And I honestly, it's not the officials, and I'm not criticizing the officials for calling too many penalties, because a lot of them, when we show them on replay, are penalties. So this is something that collectively has to be worked on, from coaching staffs, players, league office, training of officials, and making sure that if there's a penalty on the field, it is a real penalty. It has been trending in the right direction, Dave. If you look at the last 2 years, it's been trending down. So I think last year they averaged 14 penalties per game, so 7 a team basically. In week 1 this year, that's back up to 17 now. And if it creeps towards 20 a game, that's where game flow is just crushed. And I say it from an entertainment point of view, because my job and our responsibility to present the game from a TV perspective, there's nothing worse than too many penalties. It ends the flow of the game. And it's something that really has to be explored and figured out. Honestly, I don't know what the numbers are in the NFL. I know it's a little bit less, but people will be, I think, surprised to know it's not really way down there less. I think it's probably 4 or 5 penalties per game, but that's significant. And this was week 1, so there's going to be an extra offside or whatever procedure, things like that. There's going to be a little bit of that, more than you'll see by Labor Day, but so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. But 17 to 20 penalties is way too many. If you want to improve game flow, got to fix that.
Glen Suitor from TSN joining us. I don't want to monopolize your time. I do want to get one more question in. When we connected earlier today, I was smiling ear to ear that you had mentioned this. Is I was watching your game, right, and I see Calgary go down and score late. And so me using all the expertise that I have in pro football from playing Madden, if that was me, I'm hook sliding down at the 4, killing the clock and either kicking a field goal or going to run my goal line play. VA could have done the same thing if they wanted to go ahead and kill the clock. What were you thinking on that?
Well, that's exactly where I was going. And when you're doing the game from the broadcast booth, as you know, because it moves so fast, like game flow we just talked about, you just can't get into that kind of conversation. But I was picturing, families or people sitting in a bar watching that going, he's got to slide, or do you slide? I mean, if he hook slides at the 1 yard line. So just in case fans didn't see the game, it was a 104-yard drive for a touchdown to take the lead by two. Take the lead by 2 points. So, but the problem was, as he was on about the 4 or 5 yard line, there was still 1 minute and 4 seconds left. So my thought in the booth was, is this the scenario where the quarterback has got a hook slide at the 1, no matter if there's anybody around, and then go goal line in short yardage, and even maybe kneel on first down, and then on second down, go ahead and get your touchdown and go ahead by 2 points? The problem with it is, can you imagine if a guy like if VA took that RPO, hook slid at the 1 with nobody around him, and then the Bomber defense held on the goal line and they didn't score? Like, could you imagine the call-in show after that game when it comes to Dave Dickinson? Like, how could you take for granted that you're going to go on short yardage and score from the 1 yard line? We've seen goal line stands many times. So I don't know, Dave, if you've seen it live. I haven't seen it live in the CFL where a player would have a clean run to the end zone to take a lead and then kneel down at the 1 before he crossed to take time off the clock. I just thought, man, that is a bar conversation, and I bet you have 4 or 5 different opinions going all over the place on that one. But I don't know. What would you do? I think the way they did it is kind of how you have to do it. Just go and take the lead, and then you have to rely on your defense to get the stop. And if you don't get your defense doesn't get the stop, okay, they earned it and they won. But if you kneel down and then don't go take the lead because they stop you on the goal line, oh baby, that's an interesting call-in night.
No doubt. Okay, to be polite and answer your question, if it was me, what would happen? One word: fumble. Just so you know.
Yeah, which throws all those strategies right out the window, those kind of things. But yeah, no, it's a great debate. It is a great debate. And I heard apparently on the Calgary radio call in after the game, it was the hot topic. Why didn't VA just kneel down on the 1, run another play, take another 30 seconds off the clock, and then, maybe Zach can't get in field goal range. So, it was a good start to the season, though. Good week 1.
I'll talk to my people. You talk to your people. And how about we talk about it again on Saturday when you're in town? Of course, Mosaic Stadium. We'll do this again on Thursday. You're stuck with me as Barney is off. But Suits, as always, appreciate it.
Sounds good, Dave. Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Glen Suitor from TSN. Freese Tallman, of course, bring you press coverage here on the Sports Cage. Freese Tallman, of course, more than a lumberyard, locally owned, family grown, rooted in our community for 70 years in Regina and Fort Qu'Appelle. And delivery is available. We're going to take a break. We're going to joined by Kevin Killer Kaminski, former assistant coach to Mike Babcock. He's on the Sports Cage in a moment. Of course, the Sports Cage today is brought to you by Saskatchewan Lotteries, bringing communities together. Sask Lottery products fund over 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. More Sports Cage is on the way. We're streaming at sportscage.com and here on 620 CKRM. Sports Cage rolling on a Tuesday. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankaruk. It is the 9th day of June. Boy, if you missed any of the shows so far, you can always go back in podcast form at sportscage.com. And you can even answer the question, 97% of North Americans are ambidextrous when it comes to this task that they perform daily. Again, everybody's just driving on the text line. I find that baffling as we've kind of dispelled that a little bit. But again, if there's something that you want to guess, let us know on the text line 306-936-6262 for Prairie Land Rentals. Also to talk about an accident on 13th and Courtney that is rerouting traffic at this hour. So thanks for that traffic tip again, 13th and Courtney. So avoid if you can. All right. I'm so excited because NHLer, amazing coach, of course, most recently with the L'Orange Ice Wolves, but again, coach of the year in the CHL with the Mississippi River Kings. The resume really speaks for itself. The 48th overall selection of the Minnesota North Stars, a call that he actually didn't see and had to be tracked down when it came to his draft. I don't know if I call him Mr. Killer, just Mr. Kaminski, Kevin, I don't know. Kevin Killer Kaminski is with us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Thanks so much for doing this.
No problem, Dave. Glad to be here, man.
Now, I know you were out on the golf course with a good friend of the program, Derek Bidwell. Let's get this one out of the way right away. Who won?
Bidsy actually won today. He was crushing the ball.
Is it true that the best club or the best thing in his golf bag is his eraser?
Exactly.
Well, Kevin, I really appreciate you taking some time for doing this. I know how much you give back to the community, and we are going to talk a little bit about your golf tournament that is coming up. But also coming up tonight is Game 4 of the National Hockey League Stanley Cup Final between Carolina and Vegas. I know you've been watching. What have you seen in that series so far?
Man, she's been back and forth, tight series. I mean, you just see the dedication and the sacrifice that these players go through, not only all season, but during the playoffs. You know, McNabb takes that puck to the face, obviously good old Saskatchewan boy, and comes back and puts a full cage on, and he's back playing and gets a couple assists the next game. It's but that's what it's all about. Who has the more courage, the more sacrifice, and the want and the will. And you know what? Like I said, I don't know which way the series is going to go. They both have all of that. But I think in the end, I think the Hurricanes are going to win it in 7.
Wow. Okay. I go back to your coaching, right? So Long Beach, you've been in Louisiana, Fresno. Boy, so many stops. Like this series, wouldn't this drive you nuts as a coach with so many goals in such spans of time?
Yeah, that's been crazy. I think I think especially for the Hurricanes, they just got to tighten up a little bit better defensively and take care of their zone first. And I call it the DFC. Don't friggin' cheat, before the puck doesn't get out of your own zone, right? So, but yeah, no, it's been some great hockey, and again, I think just tighten up a little bit on the Hurricane side. But I tell you what, both great teams. They both got great speed. They got great skill. Good goaltending. I think obviously Carolina, little iffy there the last game. And just like I said, they're physical. They're obviously they're playing to win. They're doing whatever it takes.
Can you explain why Mitch Marner is having so much success in Vegas?
Well, I think maybe the pressure's off from being in a high caliber of media and everything else. And that's so funny. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I look at Jack Eichel. I tell you what, this kid has changed his game. Buffalo just seemed like very skilled and all that. It just seemed to kind of go through the motions. But now, man, he has become a man, and he's playing a great 200-foot game. And I was talking to Curtis Lesishin, who's a scout with the Colorado Avalanche, and he said that Jack Eichel shut down McKinnon, and that's tough to do. And like I said, for as skilled as he is, he's playing, an unbelievable 200-foot game now. And now that's maybe that's wearing off on Marner. Like he's bought in. It's a great chemistry. All that stuff there in Vegas, and they're making it work. And Marner is caught on, and like I said, he seems to be unstoppable in the playoffs.
Kevin Killer Kaminski is joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. We are going to talk about a special event that I think you're too modest to brag about, but you really do need to brag about. After I ask you about someone that you know very, very well in having worked with Mike Babcock, getting you into the coaching profession, there's a lot of rumors swirling that he might be headed towards the Edmonton Oilers organization. What can you tell us about Mike Babcock?
Mike, as a player, you prepare yourself mentally and physically, ready to go to war every night. And then as, when I got into the coaching after retired due to concussions, his X's and O's, his video, he gets everyone to buy in on the same page. And like I said, I know the teams in Cincinnati that we had, we were good, but we weren't upper echelon, but we did some damage in playoffs, and all year long we had great 2 seasons before he went on to Anaheim. And he's just his preparation is unbelievable. And I guess just from being a friend, I just hope he stays out of the stuff and lets the boys take care of themselves, and he just takes care of the coaching, right?
How hard is it? And again, I go back to your coaching, right? So you know this. How hard is it to go into an organization, say, and you've got superstars like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl with expectations so high to perform right now? How difficult would it be to step into something like that?
Well, I think that's where Mike would thrive. I mean, he cares about his players. He wants to know a little bit more about yourself and kind of what triggers you to go. Like you're carrying 25 guys, that's 25 different personalities. And I feel, like I said, with the 2 years in Cincinnati, he got the best out of everyone, on that team. And I think he would do the same in Edmonton, but again, just coach the game and, do what you've done to be successful all these years.
Kevin Kaminski is from Churchbridge, Saskatchewan, and I know how proud you are of that. From what you've told me, it's an amazing golf course that's in Churchbridge. I will get there someday, I promise, and maybe there's a date that I should circle on my calendar, because first let's talk about, again, I want you to brag. Your golf tournament has given a lot back to the community. Can you tell me about what you put together?
Yeah, I think this is coming, I can't remember, 27, 28 years now. I think we're closing in on 600,000 for 900 people in the community. It's just a great community. I mean, I think this is the weekend that kind of everyone, quits the farming, quits going to the lake to have some fun and to raise some money for the community. Like I said, we've raised goes to the curling rink, the skating rink, the ball diamonds, the $1 million swimming pool, skateboard park, playground, scoreboard for the high school. The list goes on. And then the last 3 years, the money's been going into the golf course, which they've done an excellent job there to really, make it look great. And then the other side of it is, and some of the money is going to the other side of the score clock for the high school. This will be the second score clock that we bought. And I just tell you what, everyone loves this weekend, and it's just for myself, I get to go back and see all my buddies. I play a par 3 with everybody. We have, I think, chance to win a brand new golf cart, $10,000 from Churchbridge Credit Union, the golf cart from Joey Chopchuk, and then I think 3 cars. I think it's Ski, but it might be Fun Motors now. I think Fun just bought them. So it's like I said, it's a blast. We have some great sponsors that give us great stuff, and everyone gets to go home with pretty much something. But then, at the end of the night, we all go for a meal, and then we have a live auction, silent auction, and there's so much stuff to bid on. And like I said, the the farmers dust off their wallets, and it's good to see other guys who've been in that community come back. The Bjornsson brothers, they donate lots of money into it, buying stuff, but again, it's just a great community, and it's a lot of fun, and it's like I said, for me, it's not about me, it's about the kids that are coming up to have better things for them than what we had as when we were kids.
How can I get involved? When is your tournament?
It is August 8th.
All right.
And it's Saturday, and I think the only tee times left are in the morning, which isn't too early, at 8 a.m. Can call my brother Slinky. Can't remember his phone number, but
hey,
I can get it to you. But yeah, no, it's like I said, everyone just has a blast, and maybe Dave, we'll have to get you out. I think we're going to try and start planning for the 30th anniversary.
I won't kid you. I'd be honored. And if anybody wants the number, you text us at 306-936-6262, and we'll get you hooked up because, again, I hear that the golf course is outstanding, to say the very least.
Yeah, it's a nice little 9-hole course. They've done the people that have taken over it and the workers there have done a great job. And, we just want to keep making it better and better and keep having lots of fun and raising lots of money for the community of Churchbridge.
All right, the last question I have is probably going to be the hardest one, but this comes on behalf of probably my wife. You played over the course of your NHL career 139 games and had 528 penalty minutes. So with 528 penalty minutes in your saddle, and you are such a proud grandfather going to your granddaughter's dance recitals, how do people receive that?
Oh, gosh. You know what? Right now, the ones here in Saskatoon, went to a lot of their cheer events. Now been going to their soccer games, and then the two in Florida, which we're gonna go visit here in July. They're doing the cheer. It's just Grandpa has become a very soft grandpa.
Well said. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you doing this, taking some time for giving back to the community of Churchbridge. We're proud to support your event again. That's incredible for what you do up there for a community of 900 people. So again, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. And don't worry, Bidsy said he's buying supper tonight. So congratulations.
Beautiful. And thanks again for having me, Dave. And obviously all the best to the Riders on their home opener here this Saturday.
Thanks so much. Kevin Killer Kaminski joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Of course, his event is coming up in August. You heard all about it. You want more information, text me 306-936-6262. Time for a break, and we'll tell you what 97% of North Americans say they're ambidextrous at. It's a daily task, and you're going to scratch your head. Trust me. That's coming up. This is the Sports Cage. We're streaming at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
There we go, Sports Cage Ticker. Of course, Regina Red Sox back in action tonight, hosting the Weyburn Beavers. 7:05 first pitch over at Curry Field. Moose Jaw is home to Swift Current. Medicine Hat at Saskatoon in Western Canadian Baseball League action. In the National Hockey League, the Carolina Hurricanes and Vegas Golden Knights hook up for Game 4 tonight. Vegas leading the series 2-1. And in Major League Baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies have just scored 1 run. They now lead 1-0 in the bottom of the third inning. Pardon me, top of the third. Now it's the bottom of the third. There we go. 1-0 Philadelphia leading at Toronto tonight. That is your Sports Cage Ticker for Steelcraft Doors. Okay, we need to wrap this thing up. Of course, if you missed any of our guests today, Arash Madani, Glen Suitor, Kevin Killer Kaminski, we had Samuel Emilus on back in hour number 1. You can find it on our sportscage.com podcast tab. Click on that today, and you can find out any of the back streams that we've had going on there. But I did promise 97%. Are you ready to throw something, Curtis? 97% of North Americans will do this ambidextrally. I don't know if that's still a word or not. I've only been spitting it out all afternoon. Ready? Applying underarm deodorant.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Think about it. You do it with both hands. It's a task you do every day, right?
Well, I put the stick on with my right hand, but are we counting like pulling my shirt if I'm not wearing a shirt?
One and then the other. Apparently, I thought, okay, that makes sense.
That doesn't require both hands, though.
But
that's both arms.
What do you mean? It's both. Come on.
I don't use both hands. The stick is just in one hand, and
don't you switch to the left?
I switch to the left arm, but I'm
left hand. Doesn't it go in your hand?
No, it just. Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry.
Thank you so much. If you're watching the Sports Cage stream right now at sportscage.com, Curtis just twisted himself into a pretzel.
Oh yeah, Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, you're right.
See,
right.
And you wouldn't think about it. I don't know what the other 3% do and what planet they live on, but again, stupid reading. You find something. I don't know. Isn't that remarkable, though?
I guess so, yeah.
And now everybody's going to be thinking about it tonight and tomorrow morning. You're welcome, Saskatchewan.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah. I always appreciate your puzzling trivia.
Yeah, I'm here for you. Brendan McGuire going to be here for you tomorrow, and then I'll be back unless something changes between now and Thursday. We'll wait and find out. Again, thank you so much for your help, Curtis, today. And you can, again, find this podcast and more at sportscage.com. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Saskatchewan. Again, we are keeping our eye to the sky for you. We'll have updates as they become available here on 620 CKRM. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you soon. Again, you'll find it all at sportscage.com and here on 620 CKRM.